Car friends, welcome to the channel JIV and CIV Made Simple. In this particular video, we are going to cover our IT security top 150 MCQs, and all these MCQs that I am sharing with you have been asked in the previous year examination. If you want PDF of such question, you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen. So let's get started with our very first question. Is reviewing the applicability of the Information Technology Act into file charges for various recent cyber incidents. Consider the following internal assessment made by the team. So these are the three incidents they have mentioned. The first scenario is someone sneaks into the branch after hour, right? Break into the filing cabinet. So before we look at the question, let's explain this IT Act that we are talking about, a physical branch. So imagine your bank IT system is exactly like your physical branch. You can think of the bank IT system like your physical branch. So the first scenario is someone sneaks into branch after hour, break into the filing cabinet, right, and the photocopies your list of HNI customers. They did not destroy anything, but they stole data. So what they did, they stole the data, right? You would want to sue them for financial loss, right? That is exactly what section number 43, right, is for the digital world, getting civil compensation for unauthorized access and data theft. Now that scenario number 2 we have here. Someone breaks into the architect office and burn the actual blueprint of the bank vault, so you can never fix it or build another one. So what happened, some disgruntled software vendor altered, destroyed part of the bank proprietary core banking source code. So that is, someone breaks into the architect office and burn the actual blueprint of the bank vault. So that blueprint is called, source code, right? So destroying or tampering with it is a criminal offense under the section number, the section number, it is 65, which means jail time. Now scenario number 3, what happened, that a disgruntled customer stand in the lobby shouting insult at the teller, highly offensive, right? The IT Act used to have a rule for sending offensive email, and that comes under the section number 66A. But here is the secret, it goes out through by the court. You can see now, it go thrown out by the court. So now the question is, which of the following assessment regarding the application of IT Act is or are legally correct? So I have given you three statement. I have also mentioned the section. You have to tell which one is correct. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. So let me tell you a memory hack to remember all these three sections. So remember this 43 like a fee. You can remember this 43 like a fee. You can remember this 65 like a SC. SC means what? SC means source code. And you can remember this 66A like abolished. 66A you can remember it like abolished. So now, how you are going to remember this during the exam? So you can remember it like this. Whenever you see this section number 43 of the IT Act, so you think that 43 rhyme with fee, right? 43 rhyme with fee. If you sneak in and steal data, you pay a heavy fee, and that fee is called financial compensation, right? That fee is called financial compensation. So this 43 rhyme with fee, right? What about 65? So look at the number. The 6 look like the letter S, isn't it? The 6 look like the letter S, and the number 5 look like the letter C, right? So it is SC. SC means source code. What is the meaning of SC? SC means source code, right? If they mess with SC, hit them with 65. Then we have the section number 66A. So 66A means A means abolished. A stand for abolished, right? The Supreme Court struck it down in 2015 because it violated free speech. So it is a ghost law. It does not exist anymore, right? So the three incidents that they have given, like the employee accessed the bank database without authorization and downloaded confidential customer list, the bank will invoke section number 43. What do you think? So it is talking about the unauthorized access and data theft for civil compensation, right? So what was our hack? Our hack was that 43 rhyme with fee. So using section 43 to make them pay up is absolutely correct, right? Yes, this one is correct. What about incident 2? Destroying the core banking source code for criminal prosecution, right? So what is our visual trick? I told you 6 look like S, 5 look like C, right? So SC means source code. Whenever you see this word source code, just remember this section number 65, right? Now look at the incident number 3. So the examiner trap, arresting someone under 66A for offensive email. So what does the A stand for? A stand for abolishment. A stand for abolishment. So the Supreme Court scrap it in the famous Shreya single case. So there was a famous Shreya single case in the year 2015. You cannot arrest anyone under a law that no longer exists. So statement number 3 is totally incorrect. Yeah, it is totally incorrect. So now it is no longer applicable. It has been scrapped by the Supreme Court in the year 2015, which was 66A, right? So see, when you break it down now with simple logic, and when the most intimidating cyber law become incredibly easy to handle. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is option number A, 1 and 2. Okay, now let's look at the question number 2 that we have. Question number 2 is on your screen, as you can see. And friends, if you're looking for study material for IT security, you can check out our course in the description section. We have a fully fledged course for the IT security, which includes PDF and previous year questions, through which you can easily clear the examination in the very first go. For more detail, you can WhatsApp me on this particular number. So the question number 2 is on your screen, which is related to the fast flux, right? So before you look at the question, I want you to imagine a fraudster who want to trick people into depositing money. They set up a fake temporary bank branch with a familiar sounding name. But here is the catch. To avoid getting caught by the police, they don't stay in one place. Every 5 minutes, they physically pack up the entire batch and move it to completely different street address across the city. By the time the police raid the first address, the fake branch is already gone. In the digital world, this fake branch name that we have just discussed, this fake branch name is the website domain name. This is called the website domain name. And the street address, what we call it? Street address is called the IP address, right? So cyber criminal will use a technique to rapidly rotate the IP address associated with a single malicious domain name, so our bank security firewall cannot pin them down. So this constantly shifting infrastructure make it incredibly difficult for security team or firewall to block the attack based on IP address alone. So this is called fast flux. You can remember it like this. Fast means rapid, isn't it? Fast means rapid, and flux means flux means continuously change, or we can call it fluctuation, right? So rapid fluctuation. So what is the secret shortcut to remember this technique? Think of the word fast flux. Fast means rapidly, quickly changing, and flux means continuously change or movement. So whenever you see a question talking about an IP address changing every few minutes to hide malicious infrastructure, just think of the fast flux. Now let's come back to this question. What is happening here? A bank security operations center, that's called SOC, right? They detected that a newly identified phishing website designed to steal customer net banking credential, right, is hosted on a domain that changes its associated IP address every few minutes. The IP address belong to hundred of compromised home computer around the world, right? What is the name of this evasion technique? So basically what they are doing, they are asking you to tell me the name of the evasion technique, right, used by the botnet operator to hide their malicious infrastructure. DGA, DNS, fast flux, man in the browser. So remember, the huge clue in the question is changes its associated IP address every few minutes. You can see the point is, changes its associated IP address every few minutes. That is the huge clue that they have provided, isn't it? So based on our memory hack, rapid fluctuation, whenever you see this word, rapid fluctuation, right, rapid fluctuation, what it means? It means option number C, fast flux, is our winner. So cyber criminal, they use fast flux as a DNS technique to hide phishing and malware delivery site by utilizing a botnet of compromised host acting like a proxies. So let's dismiss the wrong answer. The first option they have given is the DGA. You know what is DGA? It stands for domain generation algorithm. As the name suggests, it dynamically generate domain name. So they generate the domain name. It does not generate the IP address. What they do? They generate the domain name. That's called DGA. Second option they have given is the DNS cache poisoning. So this is when hacker trick the system to redirect legitimate traffic to a fake IP. So how they trick the system? They redirect the legitimate traffic. They direct the legitimate traffic to a fake IP. right? Think of this like a bad actor turning the city road sign around to point you to their fake branch instead of the real one. And the last one is the man in the browser, that's called MITB. So this is actually a Trojan. This is actually a Trojan that infect a web browser to modify the transaction. That's like a spy sitting right inside your customer house. So now we can confidently lock in the option number C. And there you have it. Complex IT security made incredibly simple. When you connect the jargon to the real world banking, there is no question you cannot tackle, right? So now do hit the like button and do subscribe the channel if you really think that this is adding value to your preparation. Now the next topic we have is regarding the hardware testing. So let me tell you the basic concept behind the question. So friends, before we look at the question, let's imagine that you are guarding a massive steel bank vault, right? You are guarding a steel bank vault. A normal thief, a normal thief, they might try to pick the lock or guess the combination code. But a really clever, sneaky thief does something else entirely. They don't touch the lock. Instead, what they do, that particular thief, they press a stethoscope. They press a stethoscope against the side of the vault door and just listen. They listen for the tiny click of the gear turning. They might even measure the temperature of the wall door. So we are talking about, we are talking about the wall door. They are not attacking the lock directly. They are gathering secret clues from the environment around the vault to figure out the combination. So in the world of IT security, hardware like, you might heard the name of, hardware security module, right? So there are some hardware security module, or in short we call them, HSM, right? So in the world of IT security, hardware like our HSM are those vault, right? These are those vault. When hacker cannot crack the software password, they get physically close to the machine and listen to it. Yeah, since they are not able to crack the password, they get physically close to the machine and listen to it. They measure how much electricity the machine is using. They measure how much electricity the machine is using, or the tiny electromagnetic wave it give off when it is processing the secret key. This is very specific type of, physical attack. This is very specific type of, physical attack. So how to remember it? So you can remember it like this, side channel, right? So listening through the sidewall, power, sound, heat means side clues, right? So remember this like this. So how we are going to remember this for the exam? It is all about the side door. Think of the side channel. Think of the side channel, right? Instead of attacking the main channel, the software or the password screen, the hacker is sneaking around to the side to gather the physical clues, right? They are sneaking around the side to gather the physical clues. So if a question ever talks about the power consumption, electromagnetic emission, physical sound a machine make, think of the thief with the stethoscope listening through the side wall. Physical clue is the side channel. Now look at the how the exam will try to trick you. Let's read it together. So the question is, a financial institutions is deploying a new hardware security module, right, to securely manage the cryptographic key for its payment gateway, right? During the IT security evaluation, the hardware is subjected to specialized physical testing to ensure that attacker with a physical proximity cannot extract the cryptographic key by analyzing the device power consumption, electromagnetic emission, or operational timeline. Which type of specific hardware security testing is being conducted? So look at the huge clue in the question. The first clue they have given is, is the physical proximity. Second clue they have given is, analyzing the power consumption. As you can see, they have mentioned here, analyzing the power consumption. Third clue they have given is the electromagnetic emission. So, they are listening to the machine physical clue, isn't it? They are listening to the machine physical clues, right? So based on our memory hack, sneaking around to gather physical clue means we are dealing with option number B, that is, side channel attack testing. But let's playfully dismiss the wrong answer. Option number A they have given is the penetration testing. This is usually for network and software. So this penetration testing is all for, network and software. That is our hacker at the computer trying to break through the login screen. If you look at the option number C, that is environmental stress testing. So this sounds physical, but this is all about, hardware durability. This is all about, hardware durability. This is testing if the machine survive if you drop it down the stair, freeze it, or you put it in the hot oven. So we are not testing survival here. We are testing our security. Option D is first testing. So this is a funny word. First testing is when you throw massive amount of random garbage data into software to just see if it crashes. It has nothing to do with hardware power consumption. So without a shadow of doubt, we can confidently lock in the option number B and secure our marks. See, when you connect these scary technical terms to the simple visual like a safe cracker with a stethoscope, you never get confused in the exam hall again. Right. Now, friends, let's move forward to the next question on your screen that we have. This is regarding the IPC in cyber security. So, friends, before we ever look at the question, let's imagine a bank inspector comes to your branch to audit the branch manager daily operation. So there is an inspector, right? Bank inspector. Now, what if that inspector had to report to the branch manager and ask for their permission to look at the ledger? He has to report to the branch manager. He has to ask for the permission to look at the ledger. It would be a complete joke, right? The manager could just hide their mistake. So for an audit to work, the inspector need a special mandate straight from the head office, isn't it? That inspector, they need a mandate. Who will provide the mandate? The mandate will be provided by the board of director, right? This mandate say that I don't report to you, I report to the board. I have the ultimate authority to check any file, access any system, and I'm completely independent. That mandate say. So remember, in the case of IT world, the ultimate mandate, that VIP card access given by the board of director. So the VIP card access is given by the board of director to the IT auditor. So that is called, IS audit charter. That is called, IS audit charter, right? So it is a high level power document, not a technical manual. So remember, in simple word, in single line, we can remember it like this. You can think of the charter like a constitution, right? You can think of a charter like a constitution, right? Which means power plus independence. So think of the word charter as a constitution of an audit team. Just like a country constitution does not tell you how to fix a pothole step by step, it just tell you who has the power, who has the authority. So whenever you see this word audit charter, just remember, immediately look for the word like authority, responsibility, and the most importantly, the independence. So let's get started. Let's see this particular question. So what is happening here, that the board of director at the commercial bank has recently established a new internal information system audit department, that's called IS audit department. To ensure the department can function effectively and independently, the board issued a formal IS audit charter, right? So the question is, which of the following best describe the primary purpose and function of this charter? Option A, to detail the specific technical tool, script and software the IS auditor are permitted to use during penetration testing. To define the purpose, authority, responsibility of the IS audit function and guarantees independence from the IT management. To provide a step-by-step technical checklist of IT control that must be tested during the annual statutory audit. To outline the service level agreement and penalty clauses between IT department and third-party vendor. So now let's use our shortcut to slice right through this. So we know charter is a kind of BIP pass. Just now I've discussed that this charter is a kind of BIP pass. Who provided? The BOD provided. To whom it is provided? IT auditor it is provided. So it's just like BIP pass which is provided by the BOD to the IT auditor, right? So right away, option B jumps out at us, isn't it? It's talk about the defining the purpose, authority, responsibility, right, and guaranteeing the independence. This is exact definition of a governance charter. But Slay playfully dismiss the wrong answer so that you never get fooled. So option A is details about software, script, technical tools, etc. etc. No way. The board of director does not care which specific software version the auditor is using. They care about what? They care about governance, right? They care about governance. The charter is strategic, not a software manual. So option A is wrong. What about option C? Option C talks about a step by step technical checklist, right? Again, this is two level, low level. An audit plan or manual might have checklist, but a charter is the high level document granting the power to even make those checklists. So yes, option C is also wrong. What about D? Is talk about the SLA and the penalty clauses. Those belong in the vendor contract and legal agreement with the third parties, not in the internal document. So yes, this is also wrong. So yes, with absolute confidence, we lock in option B and secure another easy marks. Option B is the correct one. So how see how easy that was. When you connect this dry technical term to the real world banking logic, the exams simply cannot trick you. Now let's look at the next concept that we have, which is related to the, here we are looking at the vault door versus the branch rule book, right? So before we look at the question, let's explain the difference between the IT security and the ISMS, right? Using a simple physical branch analogy. So let me explain it here. You can think of the IT security, right? You can think of the IT security as an actual tool you buy. So you can think of this like a tool you buy to protect the branch, isn't it? The heavy steel vault door, the CCTV camera, the burglar arm, right? That represent your technology. That represent your technology, right? Your firewall, antivirus, and encryption, etc. But who decide which employee get the key to that vault? Yeah, who decide that which employee get the key to that vault? What is the procedure if an employee loses the key? Suppose an if employee loses the key, what is the procedure? Did the security guard pass a background check before they were hired? So that entire overarching rule book, the management of the people, the procedure, the vault door, based on the actual risk your branch face, right? So this entire, rule book, this entire rule book, right? The management of the people, the procedure, the vault, right, is called, ISMS, right? The this called, ISMS. So IT security is just the tool. IT security is just the tool, right? ISMS is the entire master framework that orchestrates everything, right? This is the entire master framework, isn't it? That orchestrates everything. So the memory hack is like this. So whenever you see this IT security, you can think of the take tool. You can think of the take tool, right? And whenever you think about ISMS, you can think of PPT, which means people, process, and technology. People, process, and technology. So, what is our secret shortcut to remember this during the exam? So, just remember IS security equal purely tech tool. IS security means purely tech tool, right? And ISMS equal, PPT, which stands for people, process, and technology. PPT, people, process, and technology. So, whenever you see this word system in the information security management system, right? Whenever you see this word system, think of the big picture. It manages the whole PPT, not just the technological slice. Now let's come back to this question. The question is like this. Go to the question. A bank is attempting to improve its overall security posture to comply with RBI guideline. The IT infrastructure team purchased next generation firewall, install advanced endpoint detection software, enforce a strict password policy across all Active Directory. Meanwhile, the chief information security officer called CISO is drafting an information security management system. What is the fundamental difference between IT security measure implemented by the infrastructure team and ISMS being drafted by the CISO? So basically, the question is asking you the difference between IT security and the ISMS. So first option they have given that IT security focuses on physical security guard and facility lock, whereas ISMS deal strictly with cyber security software configuration. B says that IT security protect the electronic consumer data, while ISMS is only concerned with protecting physical paper record. He says that IT security focus solely on technological safeguard, whereas ISMS is a comprehensive governance framework encompassing people, process, and technology. D says that IT security is a mandatory regulatory requirement, while ISMS is an optional internal document used only for employee onboarding. Very good question it is. So now let's apply our PPT shortcut to slice right through it. We know IT security is just the technology. Whenever you see this about IT security, it's just the technology. And the ISMS is the big picture, which is called PPT, people, process, and technology. So let's look at the option number C. It perfectly matches our PPT memory hack, isn't it? The infrastructure team, this infrastructure team, what they are doing, they are handling the tech, right? The infrastructure team, they are handling the tech, which means firewall, endpoint software, while the CISO ISMS is the comprehensive governance framework based on the organizational risk, right? So option C is definitely our correct answer, right? What about option A? Option A halt option A. This has it completely backward, right? IT security focus on the cyber tech. Let's talk about IT security focus on the physical security guard. No, 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 that's wrong. It focus on the cyber tech. What about B? B says that ISMS protect, it talk about the, why ISMS is only concerned with protecting the physical paper record. No, 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 that's wrong. Because ISMS protect all the information asset, both digital as well as physical, not just the paper ledger. And what about option D? So you are calling ISMS just an optional onboarding document. That's wrong. Right. It is a massive understatement. It's a critical comprehensive organization framework. See how simple that become when you break it down into everyday branch logic. The exam jargon simply cannot trick you when you know the secret shortcut. Right. So just write in the chat box ISMS PPT. You will remember it forever. Just write in the chat box right now ISMS PPT. Now, friends, let's switch our focus to the next question that we have. So before we look at the question, let's talk about what RFID actually is. Have you ever used a FASTag at the tool booth or just tapped your debit card on a POS machine without swiping it? That magic beep happened because of RFID. That's called, radio frequency identification. You know what it does? It uses invisible radio wave to talk to machine. You don't need to insert anything. You just need to be near it. Now imagine you have your unencrypted office ID. Like, let me give you an example. Suppose you have your unencrypted office ID. Suppose you have an unencrypted office ID in your pocket because it is always ready to talk. This office ID is always ready to talk via the radio wave, right? What happen if a clever thief with a hidden portable scanner simply walk past you in a crowded elevator? Beep. They silently read your card through your cloth, copy the signal onto the blank card, and boom, they now have a cloned key to your bank most secure data center. So this modern digital, digital pickpocketing is called, skimming. This is called, skimming. So because you have an unencrypted office ID in your pocket, it is always ready to talk via radio wave. Suppose there is a clever thief with a hidden portable scanner walk past you in a crowded elevator. They silently read your card through your cloth, copy the signal, and boom, they are now have a cloned key to your bank most secure data center. So remember, whenever you talk about this word RFID, think about the radio frequency. Think about the radio frequency. And whenever you talk about the skimming, think about, secretly scanning from the side. Secretly scanning from the side. So, what is your colleague's secret shortcut to remember this during examination? Skimming means secretly scanning. Just remember, skimming means secretly scanning. So, because RFID use radio wave, it can be read through the air. Whenever you see a question about danger of a standard RFID card, look for the word like skimming, look for the word like cloning, right? They don't need to steal your physical card. They just need to steal your card radio signal. Now let's look at this particular question. What is happening here? A bank uses RFID enable smart card to control physical access to its highly restricted code data center. Okay, employees simply wave their badge near the door reader to gain entry. From a physical and IT security perspective, which of the following represent the most significant vulnerability of using a standard unencrypted RFID card for this purpose? Option A: the card require a constant direct line of sight to the reader to function. Option B: the card are susceptible to skimming and cloning, right? Where an unauthorized attacker can secretly read and duplicate the card data. Option C: the radio frequency emitted by the card severely interfere with the data center internal Wi-Fi network. Option D: standard RFID card contain detailed biometric data that can be easily extracted and used to bypass server level authentication. These are the four options they have given. So let's use our shortcut to slice right through this. We know that a standard RFID card broadcasts their information via radio wave, isn't it? They broadcast their information via radio wave, making them vulnerable to our digital pickpocket. So option B, which clearly mention skimming, which clearly mention, cloning, right? So from a short distance, fit our memory hack perfectly. So yes, this is the correct answer. What about option A? Is talk about the line of sight. Yeah, if you look at the option, is talk about the line of sight. So this is totally wrong. Barcode need a line of sight. Radio wave can go through your wallet and cloth. No line of sight is required in the case of RFID, which is a kind of radio wave. What about option C? Option C talks about the Wi-Fi interference. As you can see, they have mentioned. So don't let this distract you. RFID and Wi-Fi operate on completely different radio frequency. It's like listening to two different FM radio stations. They don't mess with each other, right? And what about option D? Option D is talking about the biometric data, right? A standard simply RFID card just transmit a basic ID number. It does not hold heavy, complex data like your fingerprints. Yes, option D is also wrong. So with absolute confidence, we can lock in option B and secure another easy marks. So B is the correct answer here. So see how simple that become when you break it down into everyday banking logic. The exam genre is that within the realm of physical access control and data center security. What is the primary security function of attaching barcode to server rack and individual hardware component? Option A, to prevent unauthorized physical access to the server room, to encrypt the data stored on the hard drive in case of theft, to establish a reliable inventory baseline and track the chain of custody of physical assets, to automatically trigger an alarm if the device is removed from the building. So basically, this is a very good question, right? So let's talk about physical asset tracking, right? So specifically, this question pertains to physical asset tracking and that too barcode. Let's talk in detail about it. So let me write down. This is called physical asset tracking, right? So you see this little black and white sticker everywhere, right? Especially on the back of your branch computer and printer during the annual dead stock audit. Now imagine that you have bundle of 500 rupees notes, okay? And to keep track of it, you just slap a sticky note on the top of it that say 1 lakh. Now, what is the biggest risk here? The risk is that someone clever could just peel that sticky note off, place it on the stack of blank newspaper, and walk right out the door with the real cash. The system looking at the sticky note would then think everything is perfectly fine. So a standard 1D printed barcode is exactly like that steady, sticky note. So that standard 1D printed 1D printed barcode, right? It is just a piece of paper with line printed on it. So just remember 1D barcode. This is how you can remember. This is then limitation of the barcode. 1D barcode, which means one duplicate away, right? So now, how to remember it? Whenever you see this word, 1D barcode, I want you to immediately think one duplicate away from the disaster. One duplicate away from what? Disaster. Since it is just ink on the paper, if someone can photocopy it, they can fake it also, right? So now that is, let's look at the question. What happened, while auditing physical control in facility, a security auditor note that high value assets are tracked solely using a standard 1D printed barcode. What is the primary security vulnerability? Option they have given that it require active power source, right, to prevent unauthorized physical access to the server room. Then option number B they have given, right, to prevent unauthorized physical access, to encrypt the data stored, to establish a reliable inventory, to automatically trigger an alarm. These are the four options that they have given, right? So, think about so how do you think about it? Think about your branch for a second. Every year during the audit, you have to verify the dead stock register, right? You have those little stickers with barcode or number on the back of the computer. Why do we put a sticker on them? Not just to make them work faster, but so that the auditor know exactly what physical asset the branch on and where they are, right? So barcode equal the branch audit role. They track the physical box, not the digital secret inside, right? So what do you think is the correct answer? So does a sticker on computer stop someone from walking into the room? See, let's look at the option number A, unauthorized physical access, which means someone walking into the room. Does it stop someone from walking into the room? No, no, no. For that, we have the door lock. Option A is incorrect. Now tell me, will a standard barcode trigger a siren if someone walk out with? Nope. That would require an electronic RFID sensor, not a printed barcode. So D is also wrong because it says that it will trigger a sensor or alarm. Then the next thing is that leaves, and one more thing that would also require an electronic RFID sensor, not a printed barcode. So we can say D is automatically out, right? And now one more thing: does a sticker encrypt your digital data? Tell me, does a sticker barcode sticker encrypt your digital data? No, that is just a piece of paper. So B is also out. And will a standard barcode trigger a siren? No, 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 no. That would require electronic RFID. That leaves option number C. Barcode are there to establish an inventory baseline and track the chain of custody. It is simply your IT data stock register. So C is the correct answer, right? So and just like that, you have mastered three complex, IT concepts from the latest examination. See, it is not just about memorizing a textbook. It's all about connecting the syllabus to the logic you already use every single day at the branch. So you have to connect your syllabus with the knowledge that you already know, right, at your branch level. Now, friends, before moving to the question number 3, let me introduce you to our certification course in IT security. As you can see, we have a course on our app in which we have included previous year question paper separate folder. Still, starting from 2025, I have added all possible questions which I have collected, and each set consists of 20 to 30 questions for your practice. So almost 200 questions are there in the previous year question paper folder. Along with that, I provide you unit module wise bifurcation. Inside each module, you get unit wise content. Inside each unit, you get separate theory PDF, separate MCQ PDF. All these PDFs are downloadable, which you can download for your access. For more detail, you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen, or you can check the description section for the link of the course. Now, friends, question number 4 is on your screen. It is all about, while auditing the physical control in a facility, a security auditor notes that high value assets are tracked solely using a standard 1D printed barcode. So the question is, what is the primary security vulnerability of relying exclusively on this method for asset tracking? So option A says that barcode require active power source to transmit their location over the network. B says that a standard barcode are easily cloned, replaced, or tampered with by the malicious insider. C says that barcode cause electromagnetic interference with sensitive network equipment. And D says that barcode scanner cannot integrate with modern identity and access management system. So these are the 4 options that they have provided. Friends, let's first talk about the pseudocode. Now, before a construction company build a brand new bank branch, they don't just start blindly laying the bricks, right? We are talking about the pseudocode. Think about a construction company, right? They build a brand new bank branch. Before the construction company build a brand new bank branch, they don't just start blindly laying bricks, right? First, they draw a blueprint. What construction company does? They first of all draw a blueprint, right? And the beauty of the blueprint is that anyone can read it, right? The beauty of the blueprint is that anyone can read it. You as a branch manager can look at that paper sketch and say, wait a minute, you put the cash vault right next to the public restroom, right? You look at the paper sketch and you can say that you put the cash vault right next to the public restroom. That is a terrible security risk. You don't need to know how to mix cement or well distilled to spot that design flaw. You just need common sense, right? So this is just like a blueprint. The beauty of the blueprint is that anyone can read it. You can look at that paper sketch, at that blueprint, and say that you put that cash vault right next to the public restroom. That is a terrible security risk. So that is the beauty of this blueprint. Okay, anyone can read it. It can be read it by anyone. So in the IT world, if you look at the IT world, before a software developer write complex, confusing computer code, they write out a logic in a plain structured English, right? So the logic is written in a plain structured English, and that is called, pseudocode. They write the logic in a structured English, that's called, pseudocode. So it allows security expert and business manager to read the plan using the pseudocode. They can read the plan, right, and spot the logical error. They can read the plan and spot the logical error, like putting the vault next to the bathroom before any actual programming begin. So any kind of logical error can be spotted on, right? So like putting the vault next to the bathroom. So friends, here is your memory hack for the examination. Pseudo. How do you remember this pseudo code? So if you look at this word pseudo, pseudo literally means fake or imitation. It means fake or imitation. So think of the pseudocode as a plain English blueprint, right? You can think of them like plain English blueprint, right? It is a fake code used to find the real flaws. So now let's see how the exam will test you. Like you can see in this particular question, option number A, as you can see, it says that now you tell me, can an automated computer tool test a plain English rough draft for computer for complex memory leak? Tell me, can a automated computer tool, suppose there is an automated computer tool, right? Can they test a plain English rough draft for complex memory leak? No. Software need actual finished code to test. What they need? They need actual finished code, right? To do what? To do test. So option A is completely wrong, right? What about option C? If you look at the option C, it's talk about, encryption, right? Now you tell me, does writing encrypt this password in English magically translate into secure machine level encryption? So suppose you write that encrypt this password in English. Does this magically translate into secure machine level encryption? The answer is not. It works. It just word on a page. It just work on a page, right? So C is also out. What about option D? Option D, right? Can a rough draft automatically prevent cyber attack like SQL injection? Tell me. Can a rough draft automatically prevent cyber attack like SQL injection? No, that is also not possible. So a plan does not actively defend anything. So D is dismissed, right? So this leaves us with the option number B. Just like our Blanche blueprint, pseudocode facilitate the early detection of structural design weakness. Friends, to answer this question, let's talk about the physical asset tracking, right? Specifically barcode. So you see this little black and white stripe sticker everywhere, especially on the back of your branch computer, right? So we are talking about the physical asset tracking. So suppose you have a bundle of 500 rupees notes. Okay. So and to keep track of it, you just slap a sticky note on the top of that say 1 lakh, right? So what is the biggest risk here? The risk is that someone clever could just peel that sticky note off, place it on the stack of blank newspaper and walk right down the door with real cash. So a standard 1D printed barcode is exactly like that sticky notes. So now 1D barcode, you just think of one duplicate away from disaster. So if you look at the option that they have provided here, the first option is, they require active power source to transmit their location over the network. So do barcode need an active power source? Think about the sticker on the back of the branch printer. Does it need a battery? No, it is just a sticker. So A is totally out. What about option C? Do paper sticker cause electromagnetic interference? Will a printed barcode jam your Wi-Fi or mess with your server? Absolutely not. So C is playfully dismissed. Now, how about option D? Cannot integrate with modern system. Okay, they have written cannot integrate with the modern system, right? So while it sounds fancy, barcode scanner just read number into a computer. They integrate with almost everything quite easily, right? So yes, option D is also wrong. So this leaves us with option number B. Standard barcode are easily cloned, replaced, or tampered with by a malicious insider. Yes, correct. Just like our sticky note on a cash bundle, a bad apple inside the data center could print a duplicate barcode, slap it on broken worthless laptop, and walk out with a brand new high value server. The system would scan the fake sticker and think the server was still there. So option B is absolutely correct, right? And just like that, you have cracked another IT security concept. See, it is never about memorizing a dry technical textbook. It's simply about connecting the ideas to the common sense you use every single day at the branch. Now, friends, let's look at question number 5. Question number 5 is regarding, it's talk about an organization's secure software development life cycle. That's called, SSDLC, right? Secure software development lifecycle. It mandates that developer write and peer review core algorithm logic using pseudocode prior to writing the actual source code. From an application security perspective, what is the primary advantage of this practice? Option A, it allow automatic static application security testing tool to detect buffer overflow and memory leak before compilation. B, it facilitates the early detection of structural design weakness, incorrect access control, and business logic flaw independent of language syntax. C. It ensures that cryptographic functions are inherently secure by translating natural language directly into machine level encryption. D. It automatically prevents SQL injection attack by naturally sanitizing user input before they reach the database. So friends, these are the 4 options that they have provided. Let's apply our banker's logic. Remember, pseudocode is just a plain English rough draft. Let's look at option A that they have provided. They says that it can be it option A says that can an automated now you tell me, can an automated computer tool test a plain English root? So first of all, let's talk about the SSDLC. That's called, what is the full form? You can see Secure Software Development Lifecycle. Let's talk about the SSDLC. Pseudocode, just like our branch blueprint, pseudocode facilitates the early detection of the structural design. You can detect it very early, right? And weakness, any kind of weakness is there, or any kind of business logic flow, you can detect it very early. So the point is, early detection, right? Completely independent of whatever complex programming language the developer eventually use. Whatever complex programming language used by the developer, it does not matter. It let you spot the bad ideas before you build them. So yes, if you look at the option number B, it is absolutely correct. Now friends, and there you have it. You have just mastered another advanced IT security concept. Okay. Now have a look at the question number 6. So friends, basically what is the question is all about, a security analyst testing a company's customer support protocol, and the analyst create a ticket and input the following test script: fetch http attacker.com steal cooking plus document dot cookie. The application saved it to the database, and when the administration opened the ticket, the injected code executed in their browser, capturing their session token. Which vulnerability was exploited? Option A says, CSRF, that is called, cross-site request forgery. B says, stored cross-site scripting, that is called XSS. C says, SQL injection, or you call it SQLI. And D says, server-side request forgery, or we call it SSRF. So these are the 4 options they have provided. So first of all, let's talk about imagine a fraudster, right? And that fraudster walk into the branch. So you can imagine that suppose there is a fraudster and he walk into your branch and write a highly malicious message. He write a highly malicious message, placing it to the branch complaint and suggestion box. Okay. The box just store it safely. The fraudster walk away. The attack, the attack does not happen right then. The attack happened the next morning when you, as a hardworking branch manager, open the box. You, as a branch manager, open the box and read the message, right? The moment you look at it, the booby trap goes off, splashing you with ink and stealing your branch keys, right? In the digital world, a hacker drop a malicious piece of computer code. In the digital world, what happened? In the case of fraudster, we have a hacker, and what they do, those hackers, they drop a piece of computer code, right? And that is called, a script into a website comment section, or profile page or support ticket, and the database simply store it. But the moment an innocent user or bank administrator open that page to read it, the trap spring and the code run in their browser. And it steal the secure login session. Their login session got stolen, right? So this is a memory hack for the exam. Whenever you see a scenario where malicious code is saved into a database and wait for a victim to open it, I want you to immediately think about stored XSS. That is called, booby trapped later. Right? The attack is stored on the server, waiting for someone to view it. Where attack is stored? Attack is stored on the server, right? Waiting for someone to view it. So now, this is the basic concept behind it. Now, friends, let's answer the option that we have. Option A say, cross-site say request forgery, stored cross-site scripting, SQL injection. So if you look at the option number C, let's talk about the SQL injection. This is when a hacker attack the database directly. What happened in the SQL injection? Hacker attack the database directly, right? To steal the data. Okay. So, but in our story, the database was just a storage box. The actual attack happened to the administrator browser. So C is not correct. Now, what about A and D? A talk about forgery. D also talk about forgery. Forgery attack are like, tricking someone into signing a check without looking it. But here, the hacker is not forging a request. They are actively planting a trap. So, A and D are also playfully gone, dismissed. This leaves us perfectly with option number B, that is stored cross-site scripting. So the malicious code was saved or stored. That is called, XSS, stored cross-site scripting, right? So what happened, that the malicious code, right, was saved. Whatever was the malicious code, it was saved or stored in the database via the support ticket. It was stored where? It was stored in the database via the support ticket, right? And you know what happened? When the admin innocently opened it, the script executed and stolen their session. And this is the textbook definition of what, XSS. We call it cross-site scripting, right? And just like that, you have conquered another complex cybersecurity concept. So it's not about memorizing a dry technical textbook. It's simply about connecting the idea to common sense you use that we have. So what it is all about, R has recently joined a financial institution as a cashier. The IT administration discovered that a standard user ID for his name, such as a small r and R1, are already registered to other active or former employee. What is the appropriate action? Assign a generic departmental account and delete the existing R1 account and reassign it to the new employee. Provision a new unique user ID by strictly following the organization naming convention policy, and have the new employee temporarily share a user ID with a senior cashier. This is a very practical based question they have asked recently. So let's talk about the user ID and something called individual accountability. That is what we are going to discuss. So let me give you a simple example to make it crystal clear. Suppose there are two cashier, right? This is cashier number 1, this is cashier number 2, right, working at the branch, but they both are using the same employee rubber stamp. They both are using the same employee rubber stamp to authorize the voucher, right? So at the end of the day, the cashier register is sought by 10,000 rupees. Now you look at the voucher and they all have the same stamp. Who you do you hold responsible? You cannot, because they share an identity. Nobody can be held uniquely accountable. What they have done, they have share a common identity. Nobody can be held uniquely accountable, right? So in IT security, this is where user ID are. This is why user ID are kept sacred, right? So you know what it means. User IDs are kept sacred. So your login ID must be 100% unique to you. Your login ID must be 100% unique to you forever. If someone else use your ID, or if you use an ID that belonged to an employee who retired 3 years ago, and the bank audit trail is completely ruined, we call this non-repudiation. What is the word we use? We call this non-repudiation, meaning you cannot deny a transaction if it was done with your unique secret digital stamp. You cannot deny. No denial, right? So how do you remember it? Whenever you get a question about creating user account, sharing password, generic login, I want you to remember, immediately think about, just remember this word, unique ID, which means, unique stamp. Unique ID, it means unique stamp. Never share it, never reuse it, never assign one ID to the whole department, right? Now let's look at how the IIBF tests this concept, right? This exact scenario. The question is on your screen, as you can see. And now, so basically let's apply our banker logic. If you look at the option A, is talk about assigning a generic cashier main account. Suppose 5 cashiers are there, right? And if the 5 cashier use the cashier main and a fraud happen, who did it? We have no idea. So A is absolutely out. What about option D? Have the new employee temporarily share a user ID with a senior cashier? See, this is another wrong. In banking, sharing your ID and password is a massive strict no. So D is playfully dismissed. Now, what about option B? It says that delete the old R1 account and give it to a new guy. Wait, what if an auditor next year need to check the transaction done by the old R1 employee? If you reassign the ID, the system get confused about who did what. So B is also wrong. What about C? C says, that we must provision a brand new user ID like R2 that strictly follow policy. So every single person get their own unique ID stamp so that every single click in the system can be traced back to them, right? So that non-repudiation can be avoided, should be done, right? So I hope it is crystal clear. So you have conquered another IT security concept. Now friends, question number 10 on your screen. What it talks about? It talks about the enactment of the IT Act about consequential amendment to four existing Indian law. Based on the option provided, which group represent the correct four act that were amended? Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act, Bankers Book Evidence Act, Negotiable Instrument Act. Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act, Reserve Bank of India Act, and then similarly, they have shuffled the option and they have provided you. Now let's travel back to the year 2000. Let me tell you what is the correct answer. Let me explain. Let's travel back to the year 2000. Okay, computers were taking over the banking world and the government introduced the IT Act. So in the year 2000, IT Act was introduced by the government. Now imagine your branch upgrading its core banking software. Suppose your branch upgrading the CBS. When the new software comes in, you have to update your old branch manual to match. Suppose what happened, that new software come. So what happened? You have to update your old branch manual, right? Old branch manual has to be updated to match it. That is exactly what the government has to do. They introduce the IT Act. What government does, they introduce the IT Act, right, to handle the electronic data. IT Act was introduced by the government to handle the electronic data. But to make it work, they have to update or amend four very old physical rule books. They have to update the rule for the crime. The first rule they have to update was the rule for the crimes. The Indian Penal Code, also called IPC. They had to update what count as a proof in the court, so called Indian Evidence Act. They have to update our physical bank ledger. They have to update the physical ledger, right, so called the Bankers Book Evidence Act. And of course they have to update the ultimate banking box, that's called RBI Act. But you know what, these are specifically what they specifically excluded: physical paper check and promissory note, because this requires physical waiting signature. So here is the memory hack for your examination. The institute love to trick you with the question. Whenever they ask which act were amended by the IT Act, I want you to immediately remember, say IT say no to NI. IT say no to NI. That means Negotiable Instrument Act was not amended. Now let's basically let's see the option that they have provided and eliminate the option. So if you look at the option A, do you see Negotiable Instrument Act sitting right there at the end? Yes. So this is out. Option B, there it is again, the Negotiable Instrument Act, as you can see here, again out. Now look at the option C. We have the IPC, we have the Indian Evidence Act, we have the BBEA, we have the Reserve Bank of India Act. So no negotiable instrument is the option. So it is a perfect, right, absolutely correct answer. Now, friends, let's look at the next question that we have. So the question is, while the OSI model uses a 7-layer architecture, the traditional TCP/IP model consolidates these into 4-layer framework. Which of the following represent the correct 4-layer of the TCP/IP model from highest to lowest? Application Session Transport Network, Application Presentation Internet Data Link, Application Transport Internet Network Access, Session Transport Network, and Physical. So, friends, very good question it is. Let's talk about the TCP/IP model. So basically, this is a simply the rule book computer used. This is simply the rule book that the computer use to talk to each other over the internet. So whenever I talk about the TCP, Transfer Control Protocol, right? This is the kind of rule book. Who use this rule book? Right, computer use. Why they use this rule book? To talk to each other, right, over the internet. It has 4 layers. What are those 4 layers? Working from top to down. Imagine you need to send a highly confidential loan file to the head office. Suppose you have to send highly confidential loan file to where? To the, you want to send a highly confidential loan file to the head office. Okay. First, you sit at your desk and write the actual report. In the computer world, this is called, application layer. First, you sit at the desk, right? First, you sit at the desk and write the actual report. This is called application layer. This is the software you are using, like your application layer include email, it may include CBS. Next you put the report. Okay, after you have got the report, application layer, what you do, you write the actual report. You put the report into a secure registered envelope, right? You put the report into envelope so that it is never lost, it does not get lost. And this envelope, this is called transport layer. It ensures the data is packaged securely for the journey. Transport layer means secure packaging. Then you hand it over to a postal device. Where you hand over? To a postal. Then you hand it over to the postal service, which figure out the best route to get it to the destination city. This is called, internet layer. Internet layer. Right, it handles the IP routing. That is called, handling the IP routing. And finally, the physical delivery van actually drive the envelope down the physical highway. This is called the network access layer. Network access layer, right? The actual physical cable and the Wi-Fi signal, right? So what we have discussed, application layer where report is created. You write a report, right? And then you put the report into a secure registered envelope. That's called the transport layer. It ensures that data is transported securely, packaged securely for the journey. Then you hand it over to the postal service. This is called internet layer. This postal service figure out the best route to get to the destination city, right? Yes, auditor is checking a legacy payroll system. Yeah, what he is doing? He is reviewing a legacy payroll system, right? What are the inputs? The inputs are the timesheets, which is easy to see and verify. When the outputs are the paycheck, which is also easy to verify. And also there is something called, internal processing logic, internal software logic, which is very simple. But the auditor cannot see or trace the source code. Auditor lack the technical tool to inspect the underlying source code. So the question is asking that which audit approach focus only on input and output and ignore internal processing. The auditor decide to reconcile the input data with the output result to ensure accuracy. So which auditing approach is being described here? Option they have given: auditing through the computer, auditing around the computer, continuous audit monitoring, integrated test facility. So I request you to please pause the video here, think about it logically and then answer. Now basically what is happening in this particular question, that this particular auditor, okay, he has not examined the logic. He has not examined the logic. He does not test automated control. He does not test automated control. He only check whether correct input gives correct output. He only check whether if I am giving correct input, am I getting correct output. So this means what is happening here, that this computer is treated like a black box. Think about it. Basically what I am treating the computer like, the computer is being treated like a black box. So what happened, suppose this is the computer. Okay, this is the computer. So data comes in, data is coming in and the results is coming out. Data goes into and results come out. And auditor check whether output makes sense from the input. So auditor makes sense of it, whether the output makes sense or not. So basically this is called internal processing is ignored. Auditor does not look at, auditor never look at the internal processing. This is what the question is telling you. Internal processing is being ignored. So what do you think? What is this mechanism called? The option they have given: auditing through, auditing around, auditing, continuous audit monitoring, and finally they have given integrated test facility. Yes, this is called B, auditing around the computer. B is the correct answer. This is called auditing around the computer, which means auditor ignore internal software logic. They completely ignore the internal software logic. The focus is only on two things: input and output. And when this is called auditing around the computer, please understand the meaning. What we call it? We call it auditing around the computer, right? So focus is only on input, focus is only on output. It is used when we use auditing around the computer, when we have system very simple, system simple, and when the audit trail is clear and available. Audit trail is clear and available, then it is used. And tools to analyze source code are also not available. That is exactly what is happening in this question. If you look at the other option that they are provided, A says through the computer. See, through the computer required testing, internal control and program logic. It needs technical tool, not possible here. So in the case of through the computer, we need to test internal control, internal program logic. But that is not what is happening here. So A is wrong. What about C? C say continuous audit monitoring.
See, this is an ongoing real-time audit. They use automated tools. No, not mentioned here. C is wrong. The fourth option they have given is integrated test facility. So what happened in this case? You know what auditor does? They insert some dummy transaction. They insert dummy transaction into live system. So we are having live system in which dummy transaction is inserted, which is not being done here. So D is also not correct. So the memory trick to remember the logic behind this question is very simple. You can remember it like this. So in, out, match, right? In, out, match, and logic ignored around. Or remember this line: if auditor check only input and only output and goes around the logic, it is auditing around the computer. Think about the black box. You cannot see what is inside. Just see what goes in and what goes out, right? So remember, auditing around the computer. The keyword here is the around the computer. It focused on input and output only. Internal logic is not examined, also called black box approach, suitable for simple system and clear audit trial. I hope I have explained each and every aspect of it. So option number B is the correct answer. Now let's move our focus to the question number 2. Very good question. So what is happening here? Let's have a look. So a financial institution is using a highly complex, let me highlight the keyword. They are using a highly complex real-time system. Highly complex, real-time processing system they are using. For which purpose? For international wire transfer. Fine. To check whether the system internal control are working properly, the system, there is an IS auditor. What he use? IS auditor decide to use CAAT. That's called computer assisted audit technique. Second thing, to insert dummy transaction into dummy transaction. Third thing, to run them inside the live production system. Fourth thing, along with the real transaction, to see whether programmed control detect error correctly. So that is why IS auditor decided to use the CAAT. Now the question is, this scenario is a primary example of which audit type and specific technique. Option they have given: audit through the computer using parallel simulation. Option B say audit through the computer using integrated test facility. C say audit around the computer using voucher verification. And D say audit through the computer using data extraction. This is a very good question. Let's decode the clue one by one. Let's decode it clue one by one. What it say? So first of all, we have a highly complex system. Yeah, what we are talking about is the highly complex system, right? Simple input output checking is not enough. Input output checking is not enough. Auditor must check what? Auditor must check the internal processing. In the previous case, what we are observing, it was input output, but now they are checking the internal processing. Before delving deep in detail about the question, let me introduce you to our certificate examination course in IT security. If you are looking for a single place where you get the entire content of the IT security, you can check out our course. In our course, you get separate module-wise content in the form of unit-wise theory, unit-wise MCQ. Like in module A, you can see I have segregated into total 8 units. Inside each unit folder, you get separate theory PDF, you get separate MCQs PDF. Not only that, you get previous year question paper also. You will see I have created 5 paper. I have added 5 sample paper which is collected from the aspirant who have appeared in the examination, and you can download the entire content on your PC as well as on your mobile for your offline reading purpose. You can check the more detail regarding the course in the description section of the video, or you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen. Come back to the question. So let's decode the clue that they have provided one by one. First of all, this is a highly complex system. They have mentioned it now, highly complex system. Simple input output checking is not enough. Second thing, they have mentioned CAAT. It means auditor is using computer based audit technique. That's called computer assisted audit technique. Third thing they have mentioned is the dummy transaction. Dummy transaction means, okay, what does it mean? It simply means that, fake data is being created. Fake data is being created deliberately. Fourth thing they have given is the production system, or we can say process through the live production system, which is a very important clue. Dummy data is mixed with real data, right? That is what is happening now, that we are mixing the dummy and real data, isn't it? That is what is happening. And lastly, they have given verify internal program control, which means auditor is testing the authorization check, limits, validation. So based on all these clues, one thing is certain, that auditor is not going around the computer, or auditor is going through the system logic, isn't it? All these things hint about what? All these input that they have provided, it clearly hint that, auditor auditor is going through the system logic, isn't it? So if you look at the correct answer that is more suitable here, option A says auditing around the computer. See, auditing around the computer using parallel simulation, this is not the correct answer, right? B say auditing through the computer using integrated test facility. Yes, it is the correct answer. This is also called, white box approach. Sometimes in the previous case we have seen black box. This is called white box approach, right? This is called white box approach. What happened in this case? This is called auditing through the computer, which means, auditor examining the internal logic. Auditor will examine the internal logic, then he will examine the program step, what are the steps in the program, and he will also see the automated control. Okay, so these three things are examined by the auditor, and this is the clear case of the auditing through the computer. And you might have heard the name of integrated test facility, also called ITF. So auditor create a dummy customer account department, pushes test transaction into the live system. What he does, he create a dummy customer or account or department, right? He pushes the test transaction into the live system. He check whether the invalid transaction are being rejected or not. Whether invalid transaction are rejected, that is what he check, and he control work as designed. So this is exactly what the question described. If you look at the other option they have provided, option number A, it says auditing around the computer using parallel simulation. This is wrong. Why? Because parallel simulation means auditor use separate audit software, reprocessing data outside the live system. Here dummy data is put inside the live system. So this is not the correct answer. If you look at the option C, it says around the computer. See, it is and this is just like manual checking of document. No system logic testing happening around the computer. That's why this is not relevant here. Option D says auditing through the computer using data extraction technique. See, data extraction is analysis of an existing data. No dummy transaction is involved in the case of data extraction. That's why D is also not correct. So remember, whenever you see this word live data or live system, see the keyword that you have to see: live system plus dummy data. If you see this keyword, think about ITF. What is ITF? If fake transactions are tested inside the live system to check control, that's called ITF, right? ITF means integrated test facility. Live system, dummy data, right? So what we learned from the discussion: auditing through the computer, focus on internal program logic suitable for complex system, and integrated test facility involve dummy transaction run in live production system. It tests validity of program control. That's why option number B is the perfect answer here. Now let's switch our focus to the question number 3. This is a very good question related to ISO 270. Friends, question number 3 में कहा जा रहा है कि they are asking during a formal ISO 27001 surveillance audit. So what happened? Backup policy exists. Let me highlight the keyword: backup policy exists, and backup are actually being taken. Backup are being performed, but no evidence that backup restoration testing was done during the last 12 months. There has been no document evidencing that restoration test has been conducted in the last 12 months, right? So organization on procedure says that restoration test must be done every 6 months. That's called semi-annual restoration test. So, but the auditor find a gap between what is required and what is done. Yes, auditor find a gap between these two. So the question is, how should this finding be classified under ISO 19001, 19011, and what must the organization do in such case? So the question is, how should this finding be primarily classified, and what is the required organizational response? These are the two questions that has been asked here. So option they have given: observation. Option number A, observation. The organization should note that the finding for future process improvement, but is not required to take immediate action. B, measure non-conformity. The auditor must immediately suspend the certification until the restoration test is completed. C, non-conformity. The organization must identify the root cause of the failure and implement corrective action to prevent recurrence. Option D, opportunity for improvement. The auditor should suggest better software to automate the testing, and the organization may choose to ignore it. Very good question it is. So now, first of all, let's understand the step-by-step audit logic, which is a very important for the examination. This question tests your knowledge of the audit logic. So first of all, you have to identify the audit criteria, which means internal document. It is a kind of internal documented procedure. Okay, so what it required? It required semi-annual restoration testing. Semi-annual restoration testing. Then second step is to look at the audit evidence. First of all, audit criteria. Then you look at the audit evidence, which means no documented proof of restoration test in the last 12 months. Here you can see they have mentioned that there have been no documented evidence that restoration test has been conducted in the last 12 months. So audit criteria is given that internal documented procedure is there, semi-annual restoration, but evidence is that no documented proof. Yes, so there is a no evidence. Now criteria, compare evidence versus criteria. So what we need to do, we have audit criteria, we have audit evidence. Now the third thing that we have to do is to make the comparison between criteria and the evidence. So it is quite evident that whatever was the requirement, it was not met, isn't it? Because the requirements say that you should have this audit done, semi-annual restoration testing, but you have not done that. So the requirement is not met. So therefore, it is called non-fulfillment of the requirement. This is what we call, this is called non-fulfillment of the requirement. So as per ISO terminology, this become a non-conformity, right? Please understand, this become what? This become a kind of, non-conformity. Okay. So the correct answer to this question, what they have given, option number A, observation, measure non-conformity, non-conformity. Yes, this is the correct answer, right? The organization must identify the root cause of the failure and implement corrective action to prevent recurrence. So this is called non-conformity of a requirement. Requirement is the internal procedure. Fulfillment is that no evidence is available. So remember, what is the required organizational response? So for every non-conformity, whatever non-conformity is there, so this ISO, that is ISO 27001, it require correction. Yes, you have to make the correction. Correction means do the missing restoration test. What was missing? Missing thing is that you have not done the restoration test. So do it first. Second thing that you must do, you have to do the RCA, root cause analysis. Why was the test missed? Was this lack of calendar? Responsibility not defined? Third thing you have to take is the corrective action. You have to take is the corrective action, which means update tracking system, assign honor, prevent future occurrence. So merely doing the test now is not enough. So take the corrective action. You have to update the tracker system, assign honor. So what are the other options that they have provided? Option number A, observation. No. Observation means no rule broken yet, right? Here the clear rule WS was broken. Actually, the rule was broken. Observation say no rule broken. B say measure non-conformity. See, when I say measure word, now that means system failure. That is called measure. Either system failure or total breakdown. Like suppose they have given no backup policy at all, but they have mentioned that backup policy exists there. Has there been no backup policy, then it had been measure non-conformity, right? And no backup, but backup have been performed. So these things clearly indicate that this is not a measure non-conformity, right? So the only thing that was missing, that control evidence was missing. So this is a minor non-conformity. Opportunity for improvement. See, OFI means requirement has been made but can be improved. But in this particular case, what we observe is that requirement has not been made. So this is not the correct answer. So remember, just one rule I want to tell you to remember. This will help you to identify the answer. You can see whenever the requirement is broken. Let me write it down. Whenever requirement is broken, you can think of NC, non-conformity. Or if the audit evidence does not meet the audit criteria, this means non-see. One more thing that you can, how you can identify the non-conformity. You look at the audit evidence and you look at the audit criteria. If they are not matching, it clearly indicates what? Non-conformity. Okay, so don't overthink severity unless the question explicitly say the system breakdown. So what is the key learning? What we learned from this discussion is that non-conformity means non-fulfillment of requirement. It can be major, it can be minor. It requires correction. First thing that you can do is to correct. You have to do the root cause analysis. You have to take the corrective action. And observation is the kind of potential issues. No rule broken yet. And whenever you see this word OFI means requirement has been met, efficiency can be improved. So please understand, internal procedure. So whenever you see this word internal procedure, that is audit criteria. And whenever you see this word missing document, that is non-conformity. Now friends, let's look at question number 4. Question number 4 is on your screen. Everything has been explained. And if you think that this explanation is useful for your understanding purpose, do hit the like button. Now friends, the question is, a testing team is there, a software quality assurance team is there, that is checking a new encryption module. Yeah, what they are tasked with? They are tasked with checking a new encryption module. What do the tester know? The tester know the functional requirement. The tester know the user interface. they have no access to the Java source code, and they have no knowledge of the encryption algorithm. But what they are testing input which is 16 character string, and they are also testing the output, which is an encrypted output, right? So they only check the length and the format, and they are only checking behavior. They are not checking the internal logic. The question asks which testing category is this, and what is the major limitation? Black box, white box, integration, and I think we have discussed this question earlier. This is just a repetition. So now how to go about solving this question? Yeah. So once again, go through the concept: no encryption module, functional requirement, user interface, no access to underlying Java code, a specific mathematical algorithm. They are focusing on 16 character string procedure, right? And they are only looking at the expected length and format. So how you should think about it? Let me explain the thinking procedure, right? Step by step logic. So first question is, do the tester see the internal code? Tell me, yes or no. Do they see the internal code? The answer is no. No source code is there. No algorithm is visible. So immediate rule out the white box. In the case of white box, what happened? They should see the internal code, but they are not able to see it. So the white box is not the answer. So basically, what they are testing, what kind of testing is being done here? They are doing the input testing. They are doing the output testing. They are testing the functional behavior. So this means tester treat the system like a black box. Tester treat the system like a black box because internal logic is completely hidden. Now, what is the risk of this approach? Is there any risk involved in this approach? Yes. Risk is that tester cannot see the internal branch. If there is any internal branch, the tester cannot see it. If there is any error handling code, suppose there any error handling code, they cannot see it. They cannot also see the hidden logic path. So some bug may remain untested and undiscovered. So if you look at the option that they have provided, option number A say white box testing. No, that's wrong. Why? Because white box testing required access to code. Yeah, you must have access to the code, or you must have access to the program structure, which is not available here. So A is wrong. B says black box testing. Yes, correct. Black box testing means you have no knowledge of the source code. You have no knowledge of the internal logic. You are based entirely on the functional requirement, input, output, behavior. That's it. This is exactly what the scenario described, right? So no statement coverage, no branch coverage. Some internal error may have never be executed during testing. Yes, correct. Bug even may remain inside. B is the correct answer. What about option C? Option C, they have mentioned integration testing. What do you think about it? Is it a kind of integration testing? See, integration testing, the focus is on, interaction between multiple modules. So we are having multiple modules and we check the interaction between them, right? So what do you think? Is it happening here? The question is about testing one encryption module. In this question, we are testing only one encryption module. So this is not applicable. And what about white box testing? We again assume access to the code. White box always assume access to the code, right? But we do not have access. So this is also wrong. So what is the correct answer? B is the correct answer. So remember, there is a one word, you can just remember it like this. Whenever no code view, think about it. Whenever no code view, that's called black box. Okay. So another easy line to remember, if the auditor check only input output without seeing the code, think about black box, right? So black box means no source code visibility. It tests functional behavior. It is based on requirement. So that's called black box. You cannot see the source code. You cannot, you test only functional behavior. It is based on requirement. And what is the limitation of the black box? Yeah, there are limitation also. What are the limitation of the black box? Yes. So internal logic are not tested. Internal logic is never tested. That is one limitation. First limitation. Second limitation is that, some hidden error path. Hidden error path, they remain as it is. And also no access to source code. It is automatically black box. Think about it. So I hope this question is also crystal clear. Now let's look at question number 5 of today's session. So let me skip this question because again it is white box, black box. We have discussed several questions. Now let's see this very good question. Question number 6, I think. So now friends, let's come back to this question. So the organization has already completed its business impact analysis. That's called BIA. They have completed its business impact analysis. And now they are looking at RTO. That's called recovery time objective. And they are also looking at recovery point objective. So RTO means how fast the system must recover. RPO means how much data loss is acceptable. That's called RTO and RPO. They are looking at these two. they are deciding how to meet these target, right? Meet those targets. So they are comparing some options like, hot site, cold site, cloud-based applications, focusing on cost-effective solution. The question asks, which specific phase of BCDRP, business continuity disaster recovery plan, is the organization currently executing? There are some steps within the BCDRP, and the question is, which step is it executing? Project initiation and planning, strategy development, plan development and implementation, testing and maintenance. Very good question it is. Now let's think about it logically, think step by step. So basically, what has been completed? Tell me. We are thinking logically, step by step, and this would be your thought process. So first of all, what has been completed here? So we have seen that BIA has been completed. What is BIA? Business impact analysis has been done. So when I do the business impact analysis, so what I get to know? I get to know the critical process. Yeah, these processes are very critical. I get to know, I get to define the RTO, I get to define the RPO. So RTO, I told you, just now I told you the RTO, how fast system recover, RPO, how much data loss is acceptable. So this has been completed. Now what the team is doing now? The team is deciding the recovery method. They are deciding the recovery method. They are comparing what? They are comparing the site option available, and they are evaluating the cost versus benefit. They are evaluating it. So there are no writing procedure yet. They are just choosing the recovery strategy. Now the question is, which BCDRP phases it focus on? Right. So which BCDRP focus on recovery option? Tell me. Which BCDRP stage focus on resource selection? Which one focus on big picture decision? Tell me. The answer is, the answer to all this question is the strategy development phase. The answer is strategy development phase. So if you look at the correct answer of this question, yes, B is the correct answer. Strategy development. Fine. So when I say strategy development, it means deciding how the recovery will be achieved. Selecting either hot, cold, warm sites, backup and replication method, cloud versus on-prem solution, right? Ensuring chosen option can meet RTO, RPO, performing cost benefit analysis. So, if you look at the other steps which are involved in BCDRP, like you initiate the project. So I've listed it here, right? These are the steps. First of all, you initiate it, right? You initiate the project. This is the first step, project initiation and planning. Then we do the BIA. After that, we do the business impact analysis. After that, we do the strategy development. And this is what is happening in this question, right? Then after, we do the plan development and implementation and testing and maintenance, which is the fifth step. This is fifth. This is fourth. The strategy development is third, and initiation is first, and BIA is second. So you should know what are the steps involved in the BCDRP. You can see they are mentioned: initiation, BIA, strategy development, plan development, and testing. So these are the 5 steps involved. Okay. And RPO just now we have discussed. Now friends, let's shift our focus to the next question that they have provided. Very good question regarding ITSM framework. So what they have given, there is a multinational company. They are moving from, reactive break fix IT model. Earlier, they were having a reactive break fix IT model. Now they are shifting to a structured ITSM framework. They are shifting to the ITSM framework like ITIL. The CIO says that this is not just about fixing computer faster, it's about the service value. During implementation, what happened? The team created a centralized repository. The team stored detail of all the hardware, all the software, and they capture the interdependency. For example, if suppose server A is changed, application B may crash. That's called interdependency. Okay. So the goal is to ensure changes do not unexpectedly impact critical business service. The question asks 2 things. Which ITSM component is this? And second thing is, what is its primary business benefit? These are the 2 parts of the question. Option they have given, like it is incident management, it is a service level management, it is configuration management system, and option D say it is a problem management. And similarly, option A says that it ensures that normal service operation is restored as quickly as possible. B say it specifies the specific technical specification. C say it provides visibility into the IT infrastructure to perform accurate risk assessment. And D say it focuses on identifying the root cause of a single high priority technical failure. Now let's have a look at the step-by-step logic procedure, how to go about thinking this particular question. Think about it like this. So friends, what is the clue that they have given? Let me just highlight the clue. The first clue they have given is the centralized repository. This is the first clue. Second thing is that they store all the asset and liability, all the assets and their relationship. Yeah, they store information about all the asset and their relationship. The third clue they have given, they are used to analyze impact before making change. Yeah, you can see they have mentioned that they are used to analyze the impact. So basically this is not a handling incident. Yeah, so let me just write it down. What are the clue they have given? First of all, they have given centralized repository, isn't it? First one. Second thing they have given is the root cause analysis. Third thing they have, sorry, no. The second thing they have given is storing asset and relationship. Third clue they have given, used to analyze what? Analyze impact. So these three clues they have given. This is not, handling incident. They have nothing to do with handling incident. Is there anything? No. This is not about the root cause analysis. This is not about SLA negotiation. So what it is all about? See, this ITSM process, they focus on what, Let me explain. This ITSM process, they focus on hardware. They focus on software. They focus on relationship between them, relationship between hardware and software, and that is what we call, configuration management. And its database is called, CMDB. What is CMDB? Configuration Management Database, which together form CMS. CMS means Configuration Management System. See how they are linked together. So what is the correct answer to this question? Yes, you are thinking it correctly. That's called Configuration Management System. So this is a single source of truth. It stores configuration item like server, application, database, network device. It also stores the relationship. For example, this database run on this server which support payroll. What is the benefit? That there's impact analysis. Before making a change, IT can ask, if I reboot this server, which business service will be affected? It helps in risk reduction. It helps in server-centric thinking. So other option they have provided, first one is the incident management. No. Incident management focus on restoring service quickly after the failure. It just like it does not build infrastructure visible. So the option A is wrong. B say SLM, service level management. No, SLM deals with SLA, uptime target, performance metric, not with the asset relationship. D say problem management. Problem management focus on the root cause of a recurring incident. So memory trick is that if there is any change impact, check about CMDB, configuration management system. So what asset exists? CMDB. How are they connected? CMDB. What will break if the change is CMDB? Okay. So configuration management is also called, ITIL keyword. Senior auditor reviewing the payroll process of a multinational bank. And normally an auditor may check payslip manually and matches them with an attendance record. But here, what is happening? Instead of manually checking, the auditor use something called CAAT, computer assisted audit technique. And the tools like IDAI tool they are using, or they are using the tools like ACL tool, right? So basically they are using the automated script to find the ghost employee. The first thing, the keyword is a ghost employee, or salary mismatch, or error in the entire database. So the key point here is auditor himself is using computer software to perform the audit work, isn't it? So basically the question is, according to the classification of the audit type provided in your material, which category does this audit approach fall into? Audit around the computer, audit by the computer, audit through the computer, self-audit. Very good question. So basically, there are three kinds of computer-based audit, and that is what I'm going to tell you here. So we are talking about the computer-based audit. Different types of computer-based audit. That is what our point of discussion here is. Computer-based audit. What are the different types of computer-based audit? Let's have a look. On one side we have audit around the computer. Okay, on the middle we have audit through the computer and audit by the computer. Fine. Now here the auditor is not ignoring the system. Auditor is not testing the internal software control. Auditor is actively using the audit software to audit the data. So what is happening here, the auditor is not ignoring the system, right? So if you look at the audit around the computer, what happened, in the case of around the computer audit, basically auditor check the input, auditor check the output, that's it. That's called around. And computer working are ignored, right? Computer working, these things are ignored. So let me give you a simple example to make it more clear. So you can think of checking the printed pay slip. Suppose you are checking the printed pay slip, sorry. You are checking the printed pay slip with attendance manually. Checking the printed pay slip with attendance manually. Okay. So this is called audit around the computer. This is not used here. This is not used here. Okay. Now let's look at the next audit through the computer. You know what is the meaning of audit through the computer? See, through means what, focus is on testing the internal control. Focus is on testing the internal control. So what they do, they use the test data. Okay. They use the test data. They use the dummy transaction. The goal is to see whether software logic work correctly. Whether the goal is simple. Whether software logic work correctly. That is the goal. And if you look at the option, around the computer, they are looking at input and output only. Through the computer means in testing the internal control. Right. And the last option they have given is a self audit. We know what is the meaning of self audit. Self audit means department check it on work. So you take any department, okay, they basically check their work. Okay. So basically internal compliance check, it's kind of internal compliance check. It is not related to audit methodology. Self audit has nothing to do with this audit methodology. Please understand. Okay, it's kind of internal check. So the correct answer to the question is audit by the computer. Yes, B is the correct answer. So you can remember it like this. There is a memory hack that I can provide you. You can remember it like this. By means tool use. By means tool rule, right? So whenever auditor use software, think audit by the computer. Think about like this. Whenever auditor use software, you can think of audit by the computer. Okay. So let's quickly recap the three things we have discussed. See, I told you now around the computer. Around means we are looking at input and output only. Through the computer. Mid means we are looking at the system and control. By means what? By means audit tool. Yes. So auditor are using the tool. What kind of tool they can use? They can deploy CATT. They can deploy the audit tool. Okay, that's called by the computer. So CAAT is just audit by the computer. Okay, so auditor use software tool. CAAT, like some example I can give you, like IDAI, like ACL. Full database analysis is possible using by the computer. And this is used for fraud. This is used for fraud detection, ghost employee, salary error. So if the question mention script, audit software, automated analysis, directly mark audit by the computer. And in the question marks, they are looking around the computer, input and output only, then around the computer. Okay, so I hope it is crystal clear now. Option number B is the correct answer to this question. Now on your screen. So basically what this question is all about, in this question we are told that there is a network engineer and basically he is facing, connection problem between the system. He is facing connection issue. What kind of issue? So there is internal email server and there is an external cloud service. Fine. So the very important point they have mentioned that both systems use completely different communication protocol. Yes, these two systems use entirely different communication protocol. So to solve this, the engineer decided to install a device. They want to implement a device, and this device can translate between incompatible system. And this work mainly at an application layer, that is the layer number 7. So that's the peculiarity of this particular device. Fine. So the question is very simple, that which device does the protocol translation at the layer 7 and how it is different from the firewall. So which device is the engineer implementing and how is it different from the firewall? So basically option they have provided, the first one is repeater, firewall, gateway, and a gateway to gateway and a gateway. But the reason they have provided is different, because it's a primary role is protocol translation and system compatibility. Gateway because it differ because of the restricted strictly to layer number 3. So basically this is a very good question. So what is the role of the common network device? Basically this question revolves around the common network device. Okay, so let me discuss about it. So if you look at the role of the common network device, So there is something called, repeater. Repeater is a type of, common network device. Let me write it down. So what is peculiarity of the repeater? Repeater. Repeater, it strengthens the signal. Okay, signal strengthening. Repeater. Then we have the firewall. What firewall do? Firewall is the security filtering. Okay, and then we have the gateway. Gateway, what happened? Protocol translation. Protocol translation. So basically, these are the common network device. Repeater, signal strengthening; firewall, security filtering; gateway, protocol translation. So the keyword that they have provided in this question is the different communication protocol. See the keyword. Let me highlight the keyword. Yes. The system use different communication. Giving the next explanation, let me introduce you to our certification course in IT security. So we have designed a well-defined course from where many aspirants have cracked the paper. In this course, we have included the theory and MCQ PDF, previous year question PDF. All PDFs are downloadable. You can access it on web as well as access it on mobile. So it has been divided into 4 modules. Inside module A, you will get unit-wise content, and inside each unit content, you will get separate theory PDF, separate MCQs PDF, and there are almost 1000 plus MCQs which I have added through the entire syllabus. Similarly, module B, module C, right? You can also go through the entire MCQ PDF, and many aspirants have repeated that by going through the MCQ PDF only they have cracked the paper. And then we have the previous year question paper where you get to know what kind of question have appeared in the recently held examination, and this will surely help you to figure out the topics from where questions are repeatedly being asked. You can also join our Telegram channel for more previous year based question. You can check out the link in the description section. For more detail related to the course, you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen, or in the description section of this video I have provided the link to the course. Back to this question. So here the keyword, the buzzword is different communication protocol. See, different communication protocol, and second thing is a translation between these incompatible system, and the third thing is the application layer. So these are the 3 things that we need to keep in the mind. So what do you think? First option they have given is a repeater. Do you think repeater is the correct answer? See, actually you should know that which device work at which level. There are 7 level, OSI level, you know it very well. So if you look at the repeater, so these repeater, they work at the physical layer. Where they work at? They work at the physical layer, which is called layer number 1. And what they do, they regenerate signal. Repeater means they regenerate signal only, and no protocol translation happen. No protocol translation. Okay, so repeater means physical signal. They work only at the physical signal. They regenerate signal. No protocol translation happen. And remember, this repeater is used for distance. One more point I want to tell you. This is used for distance. This is not compatible. Now let's look at the option number B that they have provided. Option number B they have provided is the firewall. Do you think firewall stand appropriate here? So actually, basically we are looking for a system that translate our protocol. Let's have a look. That they have given now. They're translating between these incompatible systems. So we are looking for a device that translate the protocol. But if you look at the firewall, they do not translate. They do not translate protocol. So what they do? So basically they allow, they block, and they inspect the traffic. They allow, they block, they inspect the traffic. Even if running at layer number 7, purpose is what? Purpose is the security. So firewall is a kind of gatekeeper, not a translator. Remember, this firewall, they act like a gatekeeper. It is never a translator. Now what is the option number D they have provided? Okay, so where is the question? Option number D, C they have provided like a gateway. Yes, correct answer. And D they have provided a gateway, but restricted to layer 3 they have exclusively mentioned. But this is incorrect, because gateway mainly work at layer number 7. It does not work at layer number 3. It can span downward but not restricted to layer 3. So this statement is technically wrong. So we have seen A is wrong, B is wrong, D is wrong. The correct answer is option C. Okay, gateway. So correct answer is option number C. I told you now, the repeater, what the repeater do? Repeater generally strengthen our signal. They work at the physical layer, that is the layer number 1. Okay, they regenerate signal only. No protocol translation. Then we look at the firewall. I told you firewall security filtering. They did not translate protocol. Even if they are running at the level number 7, purpose is security. And option number D is also incorrect answer. So there is a memory trick that you can use to remember here all this. You can remember it like this. There is something called 3T rule for gateway. You may ask me, sir, what is this 3T rule? Yes, I will explain. 3T means what? The first T stand for translation. Sorry for my handwriting. Second T stand for two different protocol being used. And the third T stands for top layer. When I say top layer, I mean to say the layer number 7. Okay, so these are the 3T rule for gateway. So just remember this point: different protocol plus layer 7 includes gateway. Translation, two different protocol, top layer. So what we learned from the discussion is that we talked about the gateway. What gateway do? Gateway connect different protocol translate network. Okay, we talked about the gateway right now. I told you what gateway do. They connect network using different protocol, and their main job is protocol translation. Their gateway main job is protocol translation. This is the main job. And primarily they work at an application layer or layer number 7. Then we talked about the firewall. I told you that firewall purpose is security. Firewall, what is the purpose of firewall? Firewall purpose is security. Okay, so security, and they filter traffic using rule. So they apply a rule and thereby they filter the traffic. They do not translate the protocol. Okay, firewall never translate a protocol. Just security purpose firewall is used. So if the question mention these words, compatibility, translation, unlike systems, so think about the gateway. And if the question mention blocking, filtering, security, then think about the firewall. That's it. Now have a look at the question number 3. Question number 3 is on your screen. A very good question it is. So in this question, a tier 1 bank is there who is preparing the business continuity plan. Let me highlight it, BCP. Fine. And the bank has two different systems. One is called core banking system, which handle national transaction, and they need zero data loss, they need zero downtime. Okay, even a few minutes of failure can cause huge disruption. Okay, so that's the point. So then this is the first thing that the tier 1 bank is doing, that they have two different systems. The first is called core banking system, and the second they have is called internal employee training protocol. Right. So what does it mean? So this basically internal employee training protocol, they are used only for staff training. So this is being used for what? Staff training, and they can tolerate the 24-hour downtime. So obviously it is a non-critical system. So basically the question is, which of the following disaster recovery setup is the most appropriate and cost effective for these two specific systems? So one is the CVS and second is the internal employee training protocol. So which disaster recovery step to use? Option number A, use an offsite site for CBS and mirror site for training protocol. B says use offsite site for both the system. C is saying use mirror site for the CBS and offsite site for training protocol. And D say use mirror site for both. So basically this question check whether you have a solid understanding of this offsite site, mirror site or not. Very good question. See, if you look at this internal employee training portal, so what is the peculiarity of this? Let me write it down. Internal employee training portal. So actually they can tolerate up to 24-hour downtime, right? They have the capacity to tolerate. Second thing, it is clearly a non-critical system. It is a kind of non-critical system. So the bank want a disaster recovery setup. Bank want a disaster recovery setup that is highly reliable for critical system. Okay, and cost effective for non-critical. So bank want to design a DR setup, and such DR setup they want to design that is highly reliable for critical system and cost effective for non-critical system. So what the key concept we have to apply? So remember, in the case of BCP, business continuity plan, not all systems need the same level of protection. Okay, some common disaster recovery site are mirror site and offsite site. These are the common disaster recovery site. So when we talk about this mirror site, please understand, they are the fastest and they are the costliest. And when we look at the offsite site, they are the slower and cheaper. Fine. So we must match the site with the system criticality. Now let's look at the first option that we have. That's called CBS. CBS means core banking solution. So it is a kind of mirror site, right? So when I say mirror site, what is the peculiarity of this mirror site? That it is basically fastest and costliest. Mirror site means real-time data duplication. Duplication, that to real time. That's the peculiarity of the mirror site. Second thing, immediate recovery. Okay. And third thing is zero downtime. Okay. So yes, it is expensive, but for a bank core operation, this is a mechanical necessity. It is the best choice for mission critical system. Yes, please understand. This is the best choice for mission critical system. We are talking to the context of mirror site. Okay, let me write it down. Mirror site. So it means real-time data duplication. It means immediate recovery. It means zero downtime. Expensive. Yes, but for a bank core operation, this is the necessity. So best choice for mission critical system. Now training portal. Let's look at the second part of the picture. Training portal. So training portal. So they are data updated periodically. Okay, daily or weekly. Recovery can take hour or even a day. And it is much cheaper as compared to mirror site. So yes, it is a perfect choice when some downtime is acceptable. Suppose some downtime is acceptable, then this is a perfect choice. And cost saving is very important. So if you look at the option number C, what they have provided. Now let's look at the option wise. Option number A says that use offsite for the CBS and mirror site for the training portal. So CBS will suffer huge downtime and mirror for portal is waste of money. So dangerous and illogical. Now option number B says that offsite for both. So this is the cheapest option, but risking the core business not acceptable for tier 1 bank. And it is cost effective but business ineffective. What about C? Yes, correct. C is the perfect one. What about D? D says mirror. C, ensure maximum availability, but unnecessarily expensive. For staff training portal, you did not need the mirror site. It is technically good but financially inefficient. So we have to you have to take our finance into also consideration, right? So remember, the rule is that if anything is critical, then mirror rule. Critical is equal to mirror. This rule you have to keep in mind. So if there is any mission critical system, let me write it down. If there is any, sorry for my handwriting, mission critical system, so that is called, mirror site. And if there is a non-critical system, then that is called, offsite site. So this thing must be clear. So mirror site means real-time duplication, near zero downtime, very expensive, and offsite site just now we have discussed. Now have a look at the question number 4. Very good question. Under the provision of the Information Technology Act and the regulatory guideline for digital signature certificate, which of the following statement is legally accurate regarding the foreign CA and responsibility of a subscriber? Certificate certifying authority. So option A, the CCA can recognize a foreign CA independently without any external approval to facilitate the international trade. B says a subscriber is only responsible for the use of their DSC. C says CCA can cancel the recognition of a foreign CA after recording the region. D says documents digitally signed by a subscriber are considered secondary evidence and are not as legally binding as a physical handwritten signature. These are the 4 options that they have provided, and you have to select the correct option. So this question is based on the IT Act, Digital Signature Certificate, and the role of CCA. So what is the full form of CCA? CCA is called, let me write it down, Controller of Certifying Authority. Controller of Certifying Authority. That is the full form of CCA. And DSC, I think you know it very well, Digital Signature Certificate. They have mentioned it. And foreign CA, that's called Foreign Certifying Authority. Let me write it down. Foreign Certifying Authority. And subscriber are the user of the DSA. They are the user, end user. So the question is asking which statement is legally correct under IT Act provision. So we must carefully check the power of CCA, responsibility of a subscriber, and legal value of a digital signature. Right, option I think I have read that CCA can recognize foreign CA independently. These are the 4 options. Now let's what are the key concepts to recall? Before answering this question, there are some key concepts to recall. So remember, under the IT Act, okay, CCA, they require what? They require certifying authority. and any kind of foreign CA, they need recognition. Any kind, subscriber, what subscriber need? The subscriber own and subscriber protect their private key. Subscriber own and protect their private key. And one more thing here, that digital signature are legally valid. Okay, now let's look at the option that they have. So option number A says that what is the option number A? That CCA can recognize a foreign CA independently without any external approval. So if you look at this option, this is incorrect option. Why it is incorrect? Because central government approval is mandatory. They say without any external approval. No. Central government approval is mandatory. CCA can never act independently. The word is independent. No. This requires the central government approval. Is mandatory. Option number B says that subscriber is only responsible for the use of their DSC while CA on the private key. Actually, this is a wrong assumption. Why? Because subscriber is the rightful owner of the private key. Yes, subscriber, I told you, CCA is the certifying authority. Foreign CA is the recognition. This subscriber protect the private key. He is the owner of the private key. So he must protect it from misuse. Subscriber must protect the private key from the misuse. He must inform CA immediately if any compromise happen. So this is the responsibility of the subscriber in whose hand private key is given, that he should inform the CA, certifying authority, immediately, that there is a compromise done with my private key. Okay, so option B, what it says, that the subscriber is only responsible for use of DSC. No. Option number D, if you look at, it says that document is signed digitally by subscriber are considered secondary evidence. Actually, it's completely incorrect. Digitally signed documents are legally binding. They are not considered the secondary evidence. They are legally binding, and they are equivalent to the handwritten signature. Same legal value in the court. This is also wrong. Correct answer is option number C. Okay, so please remember that CCA can cancel the recognition of a foreign CA after recording the session. 100% accurate. So what happened, foreign CA, I told you, now foreign CA recognition, they are holding for recognition, and CCA certifying authority. So CCA, they can recognize a foreign CA, but recognition require prior approval of the government. So they have to take the approval of the government. Suppose if the foreign CA, foreign certifying authority, they violate any condition, they violate any term, in that case what CCA will do? They will cancel its recognition, and they must record the reason. What was the reason? They must record in writing. Okay, so this is the reason. Fine. This power is clearly provided under the IT Act. So yes, if you look at the option that we have, A is incorrect because central government approval is mandatory. They say that independently without any external, wrong. And B is incorrect because subscriber is only responsible. No. Subscriber is the rightful owner of the private key. C, if you look at, yes, correct. And D, if you look at, digitally signed document are secondary evidence. No, that's wrong. So you can remember the learning of this question like this. You can remember it like this. 3C rule. 3C rule for whom? 3C rule for foreign CA, foreign certifying authority. First of all, CCA will recognize it. Second thing, central government will approve it. And third point, CCA can cancel. Okay, CCA can cancel. So question, who own the DSC? Who own the DSC? So DSC is owned by the subscriber. You remember it. So foreign CA recognition, CCA plus central government cancellation, CCA reason must be recorded. So why they have cancelled the subscription of a foreign CA, the reason must be recorded. Subscriber responsibility on the private key, must protect it, must inform CA if compromise happen. These are the point to keep in the mind. Now let's look at the next question that we have. So this particular table clearly explains each and everything, and this is available in our PDF. Now again, I think this question is also related to CCA. Very good question related to CCA. Basically what they are asking, that renewal of the license. So basically this question is about the renewal of its license and of a certifying authority. And authority involved, CCA. And the administrative hierarchy under the IT Act. So the situation is like this. There is a private organization is already working as a CA, certifying authority. Its license is about to expire. It want to renew the license to continue issuing DSC for online banking. So the question is, what is the correct legal procedure and authority involved in the license renewal? Is like, there is a private organization. They are already working as a CA. Its license is about to expire. It want to renew the license to continue using DSC. So what is the correct legal procedure? So remember, option they have given, the license is renewed by the CCA directly upon application made 30 days before expiry. Deputy and assistant controller are independent of the CCA and report directly to the Ministry of Finance. The application for a license renewal must be made to the central government in a prescribed format at least 45 days before the current license expires. The CCA is primarily responsible for issuing DSC to individual bank customer or subscriber directly. So basically, before answering this question, let us look at what IT Act has in place for this kind of provision. So remember, under the IT Act, CCA regulate and supervise the CA. That's why it's called Chief Controlling CCA. So what the CCA do? They regulate and supervise the CA. And central government grant and renew the CA license. So CA license is renewed and granted by the government, that to central government. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell you, that renewal has a clear time limit. This renewal, they have a time limit. If you look at the option that they have provided, so option number A says that the license is renewed by the CCA directly upon an application made 30 days before expiry. So what do you think? Is it correct? See, license is renewed by the CCA directly 30 days before expiry. This is incorrect. Why? Why it is incorrect? Let me write it down. This is incorrect. Option number A is incorrect because timeline is 45 days. Timeline is not 30 days. So renewal is done by the central government, not directly by CCA. Remember, timeline is 45 days and not 30 days. And who does the renewal? Renewal is done by the central government. CCA does not do the renewal. Option number B, deputy and assistant controller are independent of the CCA. So this is the wrong hierarchy. Actually, deputy and assistant controller, they work under the CCA. They assist the CCA. They are not independent authority. B is wrong. So what about D? CCA is primarily responsible for issuing DSC to individual bank customer. Conceptually, it is wrong. CCA does not issue DSC. DSC are issued by the license certifying authority, CA. CA issued DSC. Okay. CCA only regulate and supervise. Okay, so this is also wrong. What about C? That the application for the license renewal must be made to the central government in a prescribed form. Correct. At least 45 days before the current renew expire. Yes, correct. C is the correct one. So what is our learning? What is key learning from this particular question is that, there is something called, 45 CG rule. So it says that, 45 days before expiry. 45 days before expiry, central government approval. Okay, so whenever you see this word renewal of CA license, think about it. Whenever you see this word, what is the word? Let me write it down. Renewal of CA license. Okay, think about 45 days plus think about the central government. That's it. So remember, CCA is the controller. CCA is not an issuer. CCA controls. CCA never issue. Who issue DSC? CA issue DSC. CCA act like an RBI. Okay, so DSC is issued by digital signature certificate issued by CA, certifying authority. CCA only supervise this CA. Okay, so CA license renewal, apply 45 days before expiry. Application made to the central government in prescribed format. And this deputy and assistant controller, they report to CCA and CCA regulate the CA. So I hope every aspect I have touched in this particular question. So friends, we have more question available and the 5 RAID 10. So this is the protection available. So the first one is mirroring, right? The first protection is mirroring and the second protection we have is striping. So what is mirroring? So it is like, taking a photocopy, right? You are taking photocopy of every pages. And what is the striping? It's like, dividing chapter between two chapter, dividing chapters, right? Between two scribes, right? Why? To write faster. So what RAID 10 does? RAID 10 does both together. Both these things are done together by the RAID 10, right? So first thing is mirroring, right? So what is the meaning of mirroring? So mirroring means every disk has its twin, right? Mirroring means
every disk has its twin. That is called mirroring. Okay. So an exact copy. If one disk fail, that twin keep everything safe. And the second thing that is done is a striping. A striping means now these mirrored pair are arranged so that data is split across them. So whatever mirrored pair are there, they are arranged. Why they are arranged? So they are arranged because data is split across them. Data is split across them. That's why they are arranged. Right. So this make reading and writing much faster. So what you get? You get higher speed, you get high fault tolerance. So see, because of this striping, you get high speed. And also you get high fault tolerance because of the mirroring. So mirroring is also happening, right? So mirroring, because of the mirroring, what you are getting. So because of mirroring, you are getting high fault tolerance, right? Fault tolerance. And also because of a striping, you are getting high speed. So why it need at least 4 disks? One more thing is that it need at least 4 disks. So 2 disks are needed for one mirror pair, right? 2 disks are needed for one mirror pair, and another 2 disks are needed for second mirror pair, right? And these pair are striped. These pair are striped, right? So minimum 4 disks are required. As you can see, minimum 4 disks are required. Now next point is 50% usable capacity. 50% usable capacity. So what does it mean? So half the disks are used only to store copies, right? Half disks are used to store copies, right? Suppose you have 4 terabyte total. So only 2 terabyte will be usable. So now let's see the option that they have given you: RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 10, RAID 10. So what do you think? So if you talk about RAID 0, so it is used only for striping. It is super fast, and zero fault tolerance, no fault tolerance, right? If one disk dies, everything gone. Then we have RAID 1. So RAID 1 is only for mirroring, right? High safety. It ensures high safety, and also no speed boost from striping, and still 50% capacity. 50% capacity. What about RAID 5? RAID 5 includes both striping plus parity, right? And good balance. Obviously it has a good balance, right? But are not as fast or as fault tolerance as RAID 10. The correct answer is RAID 10, right? So as we have discussed, RAID 10, what is happening here? That 1 then 0, right? So first of all, what it does mirroring first. After mirroring, they stripe, right? So 10 is now, you can remember it like this: 10 is now base of 1 plus base of 0. This way you can remember. So RAID 1 is regarding the safety. So if you talk about safety point of view, then RAID 1. RAID 0 is regarding the speed, super fast. And RAID 10 is both combined. Speed and safety both are combined. So what we learn from this discussion is that, whenever we talk about RAID, it combines both the elements. What are the elements? Mirroring and striping, right? And it required minimum 4 disks. Minimum 4 disks are required. It provides high performance and high fault tolerance. And I told you, only 50% is the usable capacity. Of the total capacity are usable. I hope this is clear. RAID 0, high speed. RAID 1, basically this is for, if we talk about RAID 1, this is for, safety. And RAID 10, the combination of both. Now the next question is, what type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies code operation, system component, such as kernel module or system call, right? So which type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect? That's the question. Option they have mentioned you: user model, kernel model, memory rootkit, or bootnet, right? So that is the question. Now friends, let's talk about this. So you can think of this operating system. So this question pertains to the operating system. You can think of the operating system like a multi-story building. You can think of the operating system like, multi-story building, right? So the top floor, it very well, OS layer we are talking about operating system. So top floor is what? So top floor is the user area, When I say user area, it means, apps, programs, etc. And when you see the basement, that is system core. And that is what we call kernel. Now imagine a thief is hiding. Imagine that this is a multi-story building and there is a thief. There is a thief who is hiding. If he hide on the top floor, suppose he hide on the top floor, what will happen? Security can catch him easily. He will get catch easily. By whom? By security. But if he digs a tunnel into the basement, suppose he digs a tunnel in the basement, right? He can control doors, he can control cameras, he can control alarms, everything. So that is what kernel model rootkit does. So over here the key point is, kernel model rootkit. Right. So that is what it does. What it does, it enters the deepest and the most powerful part of the operating system. That is called kernel. Right. So it can do in the kernel, it can secretly modify the kernel module system called device driver. So this let it hide process, hide file, hide register entry, turn off antivirus, hide other malware. Basically, it becomes the boss of the operating system. It becomes boss of the operating system, right? So another question is why it is hard to detect. Yeah, this is a very pertinent question. Why it is hard to detect? So you know it very well because antivirus tool depends on the kernel to tell them the truth, right? So this antivirus tools depends on the kernel. Why? To tell the truth, right? So, but if the kernel is a bit infected, suppose kernel is infected, what will happen? It can lie, and it can hide the malware. First of all, it will lie, it will hide the malware, and it will pretend that everything is clean. So that is why, kernel model rootkit are considered among the most dangerous and hardest to remove. Even removing them incorrectly can cause system crash, corrupted OS, and complete boot failure. Now let's come back to this question. So the question is, this is regarding the, rootkit only. So the option they have, question was, which type of rootkit considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies the core operating system? So the answer is, kernel model rootkit. Right. What about option A, user model rootkit? Actually, it works in the user space. As I told you, the top floor. Right. It works in the user space and it has limited power. And antivirus can see it more easily. So it can be easily be detected by the antivirus. Right. Much easier to remove. And if you talk about the memory rootkit, just remember it. So, this live only in RAM, random access memory. Disappear after rebooting. After you reboot it, it will disappear. And it is not persistent like a kernel model. What about bootkit? So bootkit, it in fact boots loader or firmware. It in fact boots loader or what, firmware get infected. Right. Very persistent, but it does not modify kernel runtime behavior the way kernel model does. So the final answer to this question is option number B. So one way to remember it like this, let me give you a way to remember. You can think of this kernel as a king, right? A rootkit in the kernel become king of the system. So this rootkit become the king of the system, right? So controlling everything. K for kernel, K for Kamina, hard to catch. Just a word to remember, right? Just a fun recall line for a student. K for kernel, K for Kamina, right? So kernel model rootkit lives in ring number 0. If you talk about the OS layer, just remember it lies in the ring number 0. That is the OS layer, operating system layer. It can modify system call, driver, kernel module. It can hide file, it can hide process, logs and other malware. It is very hard to detect because it controls what the OS report. Wrong removal can crash the system. User modification examination in IT and security. So if you want unit-wise lecture of the entire syllabus as per the IIBF, you can check out our course on certification examination in IT security. You can see we have divided the entire syllabus in 4 modules, module A, B, C and D. If you go through module A, so there are unit-wise classification like module A have unit 1 to unit 8 PDF, and inside each folder you will get one theory PDF, one MCQ PDF. So theory folder consists of all the important theory related to that particular topic in the point-wise format, as you can see. And similarly MCQs cover all the possible MCQs based on those theory. So this will help you revise the entire content in very easy manner. And separately also we have added a separate folder for previous year question paper so that you can check out the memory based question with just eye and smart observation. Right. So what attacker tried to steal? Attacker tried to steal the ATM pin, mobile unlock pattern, password, credit debit card detail, OTP, you type, email login credential. They may stand close or they may use reflection, small cameras, binoculars from distance, right? So typical place where shoulder surfing is being done, like ATM, you can see ATM, airport where waiting areas, cafes, cyber cafe, train station, offices with public cubicle. So if you look at the other option that we have, the first one they have given is phishing. What do you think about phishing? So basically, phishing is fake email or website, right? They trick victim into clicking or entering the data. That is called phishing. It is not visual observation. Here the point is visual observation, right? So phishing is not, visual observation, first thing. Second thing is they have mentioned is key logging. So key logging is the software or hardware that record key strokes, right? These are software or hardware. Basically, they record the key strokes. Okay, so they require malware or a physical device, not watch someone type. And if you talk about the smishing, so smishing is, SMS based phishing. SMS based phishing, fake text message asking for detail, no visual spying involved. So please remember, shoulder surfing means someone looking often over your shoulder. If someone is too close, your information goes, right? So that is what shoulder surfing is all about. It means stealing information by watching your screen or watching your keypad. A low-tech social engineering attack. Very less technology is used, and social engineering attack it happen in public place where when people type the sensitive information. It does not require any hacking tool, right? Please remember these points. Now have a look at the next one. The next question is on your screen. Which of the following best describe a seeming attack in cyber security? So the question is all about, seeming attack in cyber security. Option they have given that it uses social engineering to trick user into revealing password through fake login page. B says it inserts a thin layer of malicious code between software component or system interface to intercept or alter the data. C says it relies on brute force encryption key using high performing computer. And D says it in fact the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So what this seeming attack is all about. So let me give you one example to make it more clear. Imagine that two friends are there. Two friends are passing note in a class. Two friends are passing notes in a class. Now what happened? Person A, he write the message, and person B, he receive it. Person A write, person B receive. Now think of an attacker who quietly slip a thin transparent sheet between them. So now the third person come who is an attacker, and what he does, he slips a transparent sheet. He slips a transparent sheet between them. So this particular sheet, they can read the note, or they can change the note, or they can copy it, right, without either friend knowing that. So that particular thin sheet is what we call, SIM. So that thin sheet is called SIM. So in cyber security, a seeming attack work exactly like that. So that thin sheet which the attacker slips between them is called SIM. And in cyber security, seeming attack work exactly like that. Now the question is what actually happened in the case of seeming attack. So attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code between an application and the operating system, an app and an API, system call and lower level component, right? So between the application, what it does, between the application and operating system, they attack, basically attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code. Between the app and the API, right, they insert a thin layer of malicious code. Between the system call and low level component, similar thing is inserted. So the middle layer pretend to be normal, but secretly intercept the data, modify the data, steal the sensitive information, changes how the software behave. It looks legitimate and mimic the normal system component. So why it works so well? Because SIM were created by Microsoft for compatibility fixes. Yes, Microsoft itself created the SIM. Microsoft created the SIM for what? For compatibility fix. Right. So meaning that Windows already expects SIM. Antivirus tools sometimes trust them. Malicious SIM blend into the system. Right. So this make them stealthy, effective and hard to catch. So we have different kinds of SIMing like software SIMing, hardware SIMing, that is called simmering, APT level SIMing, that's different thing. So let's look at the option that they have given you. So option number A says that using a social engineering to trick user into revealing password. That is called, phishing. That is not called simming, that's called phishing. It uses fake email, fake website, no code insertion, no layer between component. So option A is wrong. What about B? Yes, B is the correct one. B is the correct one. What about C? It rely on brute force encryption key using high performance computing. Actually, this is regarding the brute force encryption key. So basically it use high computational power. This is not related to inserting layer or intercepting the layer. So C is not the correct answer. What about D? It in fact the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So that is called bootkit. This is called bootkit. So they in fact the bootloader or firmware, they help malware survive OS reinstallation. So option number D is also wrong, right? So the final answer to this question is option number B. So you can think of this SIM as you can think of this SIM as thin middle layer, thin middle layer, right? So whenever you hear simming, think about a sneaky layer inserted in the middle to spy or to modify, right? So what we learn from this discussion is that simming means adding a thin malicious layer between the system component, and it is used to intercept, modify or steal the data. They mimics the legitimate system fix, harder to detect. Please remember this point. Now the second question they have mentioned is that basically which of the following statement best describe the purpose of COVID framework developed by ISACA, right? So option they have mentioned, it is a technical cyber security standard focusing only on network security control. It is a global framework for IT governance that align enterprises IT process with business goal. It is a certification program used solely for cloud computing audit. And D says it is a tool designed only for vulnerability scanning and penetration testing. So the question revolves around purpose of the COVID, and who developed this COVID framework developed by ISACA. That's the question. So basically you can think of it, let me give you one example to make it more crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a big machine, right? So you can think of the company like a big machine. So the business side want profit, business side want growth, business side want risk reduction, cyber security, and the IT side they work with system. IT side they work with system, they work with server, they work with control, they work with data and cyber security. Often these two don't speak the same language. Business side want profit, growth, less risk, and IT side work with system, data, and basically server, data, cyber security. And both the side don't speak the same language. So COVID act like a translator and supervisor. So between these two, on one side we have business, on one side we have IT. So in between them, COVID act like a translator and supervisor, helping both the side work together. So it tells an organization how to govern IT, how to manage IT, how to make sure that IT actually support the business goal, and how to measure performance, how to optimize risk versus value. So all these things can be known from the COVID. That is why COVID is used worldwide. It ensures that IT is not just running, but running with purpose. So two words are there. One word is just running, and the other word is running with purpose. So basically this is what is ensured. Running with purpose is ensured, right? So COVID provide 40 governance and management objectives arranged under 5 main domains: EDM, APO, BAI. Let me just write it down. So COVID, they just provide how many? 40 governance and management. 40 governance and management objectives are there, right? And under 5 major domains. The first one is EDM. EDM means evaluate, direct, and monitor. Second one is APO. APO means align, plan, organize. Third one is BAI, which is build, acquire, implement. Fourth one is DSS, which is deliver service support. Fifth one is MEA. MEA means monitor, evaluate, access. So COVID integrate with other framework like ISO, ITIL, NIST. Now if you look at the other option that we have, so option number A says technical network security standard. It's saying technical cyber security standard. Actually this is wrong, because COVID is not about only cyber security or network. It is broad. It is focused on governance, not just technical control, right? It is not limited to technical cyber security. It is just broad. In the broad sense, it's focused on governance. It is focused on governance and not just technical control. What about option B? Option B is the correct one. It is a global framework that align IT need process with business goal. Exactly, linking both of them, right? Then it's talking about the certification program, as you can see. No. Actually, ISACA does not offer certification, right? But COVID itself is not a certification. ICSA does offer certification. ICSA offers certification like, CISA, like, CISM, like, CRISC. So these are the certification codes which are offered by ISACA. But the COVID is not a certification. What about option D? It says a tool. Pen testing or vulnerability tool. It is always saying penetrating or, vulnerability tools. Actually, COVID does not scan vulnerabilities or perform penetration. It guides how IT should be governed and managed. So the final answer is option number B. Yes, B is the correct one. So just remember one trick I tell you to remember this COVID. It is just like this. Because COVID question is asked every year. So you must know what is the COVID. Control objective for information and related technology. So control plus business plus technology. Right. This way you can remember. Control plus business plus technology. Right. So control objective for information and related technology. It helps control IT and so it supports the business. And one more thing is that COVID is IT governance GPS. This way you can also remember. IT governance GPS. This is what COVID is all about. So what we learned is that, from this discussion is that basically COVID is ISACA global IT governance framework. It aligns IT process with business goal. It provides 40 objectives and 5 domains are there. So these are the 5 domains. The name is written here: EDM, APO, BAI, DSS, MEA. It is not a certification, not a technical tool, not limited to just cyber security. Now, one more question I think is based on COVID and ICSA. Let's have a look. So the question is, which COVID domain is responsible for serving, setting a strategic decision, ensuring value delivery, and monitoring risk or monitoring compliance, basically performing the core governance role in the framework. That is what the question is. APO, align, plan and organize. BAI, build, acquire and implement. Evaluate, direct and monitor. EDM, and monitor, evaluate and access. MEA. So friends, let's try to understand. You can think of the company like a cricket team. So let me give you just one example to make it crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a cricket team. Someone must evaluate the team needs, right? What are the requirement of the teams? What are the strength of the teams? What are the weakness of the team? Evaluation must be done, right? So, and someone must direct which player to pick, how to strategize, right? So it also be decided that which player to pick, how to strategize, and someone must monitor whether performance is actually improving or not. Basically, someone is required for all these 3 activities. So the top level selection making is exactly what EDM does in COVID. Please understand. So here we are focused on, top level decision making. So who does it? Basically, it is exactly what EDM does. In the case of, COVID. Decide what direction IT should follow. Yes. So EDM decide, let me just write it down. What EDM does, it decide the direction. It decide the direction. It ensure that IT deliver values to whom? To the business. EDM ensure. It monitor the risk. It monitor the performance. And it also monitor the compliance. So it sit at the top layer above all the management activity. So it evaluate, it direct, it monitors. Evaluate what? Evaluate, understand the stakeholder needs. Review a strategic option. Identify risk and opportunity. That's what it evaluation. Direct means what? Set IT strategy. Prioritize investment. And monitor means track the performance. Ensure compliance. Check risk level. So if you look at the other option that we have, APO. APO means align, plan and organize. This is the management domain. This is the management domain. It converts a strategy into plan, budget structure. But it does not set high level governance structure. That's why A is wrong. What about B? BAI. Build, acquire and implement. It handles project delivery, system development and change management. It focuses on execution, not the governance. What about EDM? Yes, EDM is the correct one. Evaluate, direct and monitor. Right. EDM is executive decision making, or the top bosses deciding the direction. Evaluate, direct and monitor. That is what EDM is all about. And the last option they have mentioned is MEA. No, that's wrong. Monitor, evaluate and assess is wrong. Because performing audit, performance check and compliance assessment does monitoring, but only on management activity, not a strategic direction. So what we learned from this discussion is that, EDM is the only governance domain in COVID. In the COVID, the only governance domain, which is the only governance domain in COVID, this is EDM. Just remember it. Right. EDM is the only governance domain in COVID. It set a strategy, it ensures value delivery, it monitor risk and compliance. APO, BAI, DSS, MEA, they are management, not governance. And COVID always separate governance from management. I already told you. Two things are there. One thing is governance, other thing is management. COVID also always maintain the separation between these two elements. And EDM is it ensures value delivery, monitor risk and compliance. All these tasks are performed by EDM. Now have a look at the next question. The question is, which testing technique is most commonly associated with black box testing? Yes, this is the question. Black box testing. Because it focuses on testing the boundaries of input ranges where defects frequently occur. So black box testing is all about. So option they have given, basically code coverage analysis, boundary value analysis, static code review, and control flow testing. So which testing technique is linked with black box testing? Before we jump into the answer, let's understand this is the simplest way possible. So I'm providing you just one example to make it clear what this black box testing is all about. Think of the software input. So just a way to remember this black box input testing. You can think of the software input like a door. And most people expect problem to happen inside the house. But actually, the door, or we can say the boundary, either you call it the door or you call it the boundary, right, is where the most mistake happen. Most mistake happen at the door or the boundary. For example, if a form asks you to enter age between 18 and 60, the risky point are 17, the risky point are 18 minimum, risky point are 60, risky point are 61. So these ages, these boundaries are where developer often make small mistakes, right? Here developer often make small mistakes at these ages or boundary. So what tester does, the tester, they use a special technique. Tester use a special technique to check these critical age point. To check these critical age point, tester use a special technique. And that technique is what we call, boundary value analysis. This is called, boundary value analysis. So this is a classical, or in short we call it, BVA. This is the classical black box testing method because the tester does not need to know the code. They only care about the input range and its limit. So they have nothing to do with the code. They only care about what? They only care about the input range and its limit. That's why if you look at the option that they have given you, option is a code coverage analysis. No. Yes, B is the correct one. Boundary value analysis. So if you look at the code coverage analysis, that is, white box technique. If the question is regarding the white box technique, that would be the answer. It measures how much code is executed during testing. C says a static code review. Actually, this is not black box at all. It requires reading the code manually. Here the tester see the code. So it is not a boundary based black box testing. What about control flow testing? Again, white box testing, right? It studies the flow or path of the program to the source code. So just way to remember it like this. Boundary break the app. Just remember it. Boundary, what it does, it break the app, right? So boundary value analysis save the app. Range ka king BVA, or where limit matter, BVA is the better, right? Useful for your English audience. So wherever limit is better, BVA is better. Limit matter, BVA will be better. So like if you look at the other option they have mentioned, just now I told you that black box means no code is seen, focus on the input. It just means you cannot see the code, you just focus on the input. Boundary value analysis test minimum, maximum and just around them. And most bugs hide at the boundary, we know it very well. So BVA is super effective technique. Other option are white box or code based, not black box. Now the next question they have given is that, let me show you, that which spoofing technique manipulate network table on a local LAN so that, the attacker can interpret or redirect traffic between devices by associating their MAC address. DNS spoofing, ARP spoofing, IP spoofing, email spoofing. Very good question. So basically to understand this easily, let's break it down. First of all, let's understand the basic concept and then we will go to the question. Imagine that you are in a society. Suppose that you live in a society and there are many flats, right? Each flat, suppose take the flat as IP address, right? Each flat belongs to a specific person. Each flat belongs to a specific person. That is called, MAC address. So flat IP address, flat you can treat like IP address and a specific person is like MAC address. Now imagine there is a thief who label his face as your flat number on the building list. Who label his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever the watchman send any delivery or communicate mean for you, it actually get delivered to the thief first. Right? Why? Because he label his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever any person or any watchman or any he send any delivery or communication mean for you, it reaches the theft first. It will reach the theft first. This is exactly what happened in the ARP spoofing. ARP spoofing. Right? That is called address resolution protocol. The full form is address resolution protocol. It mapped the IP address to MAC address. So it linked flat number to person name. In ARP spoofing, the attacker send fake ARP message and says, so what happened, in the ARP spoofing, address resolution protocol. What happened, ARP spoofing we are talking about. So in this case, what happened? That basically the attacker, suppose this is the attacker, and he sent the fake ARP message and says that, hey network, my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says that my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says so. Right? Device believe this lie and update their ARP table. Now all the traffic meant for the victim goes to the attacker first. This allow man in the middle attack. You know about MITM attack? Yes, this allow it. This allow intercepting or modifying data, hijacking session, stealing password or cookies. And because ARP work only inside a local LAN, this attack is very common in Wi-Fi network. That's why the correct answer to this question is, option number B. That is called ARP spoofing. If you talk about the DNS spoofing, this redirect user to fake website by altering the DNS record. It redirect into fake website. Right? What about IP spoofing? Here attacker fake the source of IP address. Right? In the packet. And what about email spoofing? So email spoofing, it is used in phishing. Right? It has nothing to do with the network table or ARP. It is used in phishing. So just remember, ARP means address replace protocol. Just way to remember it. Address replace protocol. Not real name but perfect for memory. Or MAC say attack, that is ARP attack. Or ARP attack happen when Wi-Fi is local. Whenever Wi-Fi is local, public place, ARP attack will happen. So it is the address replace protocol, and MAC say attack, that is ARP attack. So ARP connect IP to MAC on a local network. What it does, it connect IP to MAC on a local network. IP is just like I given you example, flat number, and MAC is your person living address. So it connect IP to the MAC, and ARP spoofing attacker lie about MAC address to steal the traffic. It is used for MITM, session hijack and data theft. Now, one question is based on match the following type. On one side, they have given you the OSI layer, and on the other side, we have given you the function. Like list A, OSI layer, presentation, transport, network, data link, and B, they have mentioned the function like route packet using logistic addressing, perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation, provide reliable, fast end-to-end delivery, handle framing, MAC addressing, and local error detection. So you have to link. The 4 options have been given: 1C, 2B, 3A, 4D, and likewise 4 options they have mentioned. How do you go about solving it? So friends, we need to match OSI layer with their correct function. So let's start with the presentation layer. So you can think of the presentation layer. You can think of the presentation layer as the translator of the network world. Just like how you convert a movie file from MKV. Suppose you convert moving file from MKV to MP4, right? Or you unzip or zip a file, or you encrypt or decrypt a message. All of that work happen at the presentation layer. All these things happen at the presentation layer. So that you can think of it like translator. Now, transport layer. So let's just match it. So presentation layer is just, just not only a translator. So which option thing? Routes packet, perform encryption, provide reliable fast to end, handle framing. So I think it will be B. Perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation. Yes. So 1B. Now the second thing they have given is transport layer. So transport layer, like imagine that you are sending a courier, right? Imagine that you are sending a courier, right? So you want, reliable delivery. Obviously you want reliable delivery, and that is what is happening through transfer control protocol. You want fast delivery. So that is what is happening through UDP. So that is exactly what transport layer does. It ensures that your data reaches from source to destination with reliability, like TCP, and fast with speed, that is UDP. So if we link one with two, so you can see transport layer. So transport layer it is linked to what? It is linked to C. Transport layer will be linked to C. So what is C? Provide reliable, fast end-to-end delivery. That is TCP UDP. So 2 linked to C. What about 3? 3 is the network layer. Network layer is routing with IP address. Right? Route packet using logical addressing. So 3 will be linked to A. Right? So 3 will be linked to A. If we talk about the network layer, so what network layer is all about? So network layer means Google map of the internet. Network layer is the Google map of the internet. It decides which route to take. Using what logical address. It forward packet from one network to another through the router. So this is network number 1, this is network number 2, and it is forwarded through router. Right? So that is what network layer is all about, routing with IP address. So 3 will be linked to routing packet using logical address IP. And the 4th one is data link layer. So data link layer means, this layer work on your local network, like your LAN, like your, Wi-Fi. This work on your local network like LAN or Wi-Fi. It does 3 things, like create frames. It use the MAC address to deliver the data. So data link layer, it create frame, it use MAC address, it check for basic logical error, right? So that is framing, MAC addressing and local address reduction.
Which of the following is not one of the 5 principles of COVID-5? Right. Option A, meeting a stakeholder need. Option B, implementing automated IT process. Option C, enabling a holistic approach. And option D, separating governance from management. So friends, let's explain what this question is all about. So what do you think the correct answer? The correct answer to this question is option number B, that is implementing automated IT process. Why? Let's break down. First of all, option A saying that meeting a stakeholder need. Imagine you are running a bank and your customer, employee and regulator all have different expectation. COVID-5 ensure that IT service align with business goal and meet everyone need. Just like a restaurant ensure good food, quick services and hygiene for the customer, IT governance ensure a smooth operation for all stakeholders. So this is indeed a principle. Let's see option number C, enabling a holistic approach. Think of an organization like a human body. If one part fail, the entire body suffers. Similarly, COVID-5 promotes a holistic approach, meaning that IT governance should be well connected and considered all aspects like security, like compliance or efficiency. It is not just about one area, it's about the whole system working together. So this is another principle of COVID-5. Let's look at option D, separating governance from management. Think of a school. The principle, so principle is like governance, right? Principle you like governance, and the principal set the rule and teachers, they are the managements, right? The teachers implement them. In IT governance ensure policies are set and management ensure those policies are followed. So COVID-5 clearly defined these two roles, preventing confusion and improving the efficiency. So this is another principle of COVID-5. But if you look at the option number B, it says implementing automated IT process. See, while automation is very useful in IT, but it is not a core principle of COVID-5, because if we talk about the COVID focuses on governance and management, right? It focuses on what? It focuses on governance, it focuses on management, right? And ensuring that IT support business needs effectively. Automation may be a good practice, but it is not one of the 5 fundamental principles. So let's summarize the fact which we have just covered in this particular MCQs. And the first point is the first point we have covered that COVID-5 is based on 5 key principles: meeting a stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end-to-end, applying a single integrated framework, enabling a holistic approach, and separating governance from management. So these are the 5 principles of the COVID-5. You must note it down. Next question we have is, which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? So which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? Option A, the risk that an auditor failed to detect material misstatement in its financial statement. Option B, the risk arising from the nature of the business or transaction before considering internal control. Option C, the risk that financial statements are misstated due to fraud by management. And option D, the risk that auditor express an inappropriate opinion due to insufficient evidence. So friends, what do you think the correct answer? What is the question is, which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? So the correct answer to this question is, first of all, let's see the each and every option. Option A suggests that the risk that auditor failed to detect material misstatement in financial statement. So basically, if we talk about this risk, this is called, detection risk. This is not called audit risk. This is called detection risk. Why? Because this is the possibility that auditor may miss error or fraud, right, while examining financial statement. So think of an examiner checking answer sheet. If they overlook a mistake, that is detection risk, but that is not inherent risk, right? So you have to decide which is called inherent risk in the context of audit risk. Let's see option number B. For example, let me give one example to make it more clear. Right. So now option B, if we talk about the risk arising from the nature of the business or transaction before considering internal control. Yes, this is the correct answer. Right. Why? Because inherent risk is the natural risk. Remember, if we talk about the inherent risk, it is the kind of natural risk. Right. It is kind of natural risk, that comes with a business or transaction even before any internal control are in place. So even before any internal control are in place, right, if any risk arises from the business or transaction, this is called inherent risk. Let me give you one example. For example, a bank deal with high value transaction. Suppose a bank deal with a high value transaction, right, daily. It has high inherent risk. Why? Why this bank have a high inherent risk of fraud or error compared to a small grocery store? Similarly, a tech company investing in volatile cryptocurrency, they have also higher risk than a stable manufacturing company, right? So that is why this option is correct. What about option C? The risk that financial statements are misstated due to fraud by management. This is wrong, because if we talk about this risk, this is called the fraud risk. This is called the fraud risk, which is a type of inherent risk, but not the definition of inherent risk itself. If the company top executive manipulate financial report to show higher profit, that is fraud risk, and that is not necessarily an inherent risk. And if you look at the option number D, the risk that auditor expresses an inappropriate opinion due to insufficient evidence. So this refers to audit risk. This refers to audit risk, which is broader and include detection risk. So audit risk include everything. Audit risk include detection risk. Audit risk includes control risk. Audit risk include inherent risk, right? So that is why it is broader, right? That is why it is broader. So basically, if an auditor does not gather enough information and still gives an opinion, it increases the risk of wrong judgment. So what we learned from this discussion is that audit risk is the sum of three kind of risk, right? Inherent plus control plus detection. These are the three risks which are the part and parcel of the audit risk. Inherent risk means what? Inherent risk means the natural risk due to business type or transaction complexity. Control risk means what? Risk that company's internal control failed to detect or prevent error. And detection risk means what? Risk that the auditor failed to identify mistake during the audit. I hope this explanation make the concept super simple for you, right? So this is all the points about audit risk. Friends, if you are looking for a study material for this certification examination in IT security, we have a special course for you. As you can see on our app, the link of app is provided in the description section. So you can see the content of this course. I have added the unit wise theory and MCQs PDF and previous year question. As you can see, it has been arranged module wise. In the first unit itself, you can see there is a separate PDF for theory and there is a separate PDF for MCQs, right? So as you can see, this is a PDF for theory where each and every concept has been given in a short form in the bullet format, and separately there is a PDF for MCQs where all the concepts have been given in the form of MCQ. Similarly, I have made for all the types of all the units. How many units are there? As you can see, total number of units here is 20, right? So for all the 20 units, there are separate theory PDF, there is separate MCQs PDF, and also there is a separate folder for previous year question that you can see. So if you want to get access to this kind of material, you can either do two things: either WhatsApp me on this particular number, or you install the app whose link is provided in the description section. So the number you can see on the screen, you can either WhatsApp me on this number or on the app. Now friends, let's move forward and let's see the next question that we have. The next question is, which of the following best describe the cloud computing? Right. So that is the question. Which of the following best describe cloud computing? Friends, options are the process of storing data, right? So option number A says that the process of storing data on physical hard drive for security purpose. Option B, the delivery of computing services like server, storage and software over the internet. Option C, a networking model that connect only private data center without internet access. And option D, a method of physically transporting data between location using external storage device. Right. So what do you think? Let's go through each and every option. First of all, option number A, the process of storing data on physical hard drive. So basically this refers to what we call as local storage. This refers to local storage. It is not a cloud computing. Why? Because what you are doing is storing data on physical hard drive, right? Or suppose USB, or suppose external drive, right? So basically, this is a traditional way of keeping data safe. This is a traditional way of keeping data safe, but it does not provide remote access or flexibility like cloud computing. Let me give you an example. For example, imagine you save file on a USB drive. You save file on a USB drive. You can only access them if you carry the USB with you. But with cloud computing, you can access your file from anywhere, just like how you open Google Drive or Dropbox onto any device. So that is not the correct answer. Option B, the delivery of computing services such as server, storage and software. So basically this is the correct definition, right? Cloud computing allow individuals and business to use computing resource like server, database and application over the internet instead of maintaining physical infrastructure. You can think of the Netflix. Right? So Netflix, you don't download movies, but you stream them directly from the internet. Similarly, cloud computing provides business with on-demand computing power without the need to buy expensive hardware. What about option C? A networking model that connect only private data center without internet access. So this is incorrect, because this describes a private network. Right? It does not describe a cloud computing. While some company use private cloud computing generally involve the internet to provide service on demand. Right? So, for example, imagine a company has its own internal IT system. Suppose a company has its own internal IT system, right? So it does not allow access from the internet. So that is called private data center. This is called private data center, and it is not called cloud computing. Cloud computing, let me give you some example. Cloud service like Google Cloud is there, AWS is there, Microsoft Azure is there. So these use the internet to provide computing resource. So this is not the correct answer. Now the option number D is methods of physically transporting data between location using external storage device. This is incorrect. This refers to offline. It is called offline data transfer, right? So basically using some storage device like USB drive or hard disk. So cloud computing eliminates the need for physical device by allowing instant online access. For example, if you store movies on any external hard drive and take it to a friend's house to watch, that is the physical data transfer. But if you stream a movie directly from Google Drive or iCloud, that is cloud computing. So the correct answer to this question is option B. Let's summarize the key point which we have learned in this particular question. The first concept is that, if we talk about the cloud computing, right? If we talk about the cloud computing, so basically it is computing services over the internet, right? It means computing services over the internet. First point you must keep in mind. And second point is that, it provides storage, server, database, right, on demand. It removes the needs for physical storage device. It allows access to data from anywhere. And examples are Google Drive, Dropbox, Netflix, AWS, Microsoft Azure. I hope this explanation helped you understand the concept of cloud computing very easily. Now friends, let's shift our focus to the next question. The question is, which of the following is the primary purpose of software escrow arrangement? Options are to grant full ownership of software to the licensee. Option B, to allow the licensee access to the software vendor source code under specific condition. Option C, to restrict the licensee from using the software beyond the agreed license period. Option D, to enable the software vendor to revoke the licensee access at any time. So what do you think the correct answer? Let's go through first option. It says that to grant full ownership of the software to the licensee. This is incorrect. Why this is incorrect? Because in a software escrow arrangement, what happened, right? The licensee does not get the full ownership of the software. The vendor is still on the right. The vendor has the right. Licensee do not have the right. Right. But under a specific condition, the licensee may get access to the source code. Under a specific condition, this licensee may get access to the source code. Right. Let me give one example. Suppose you rent a house, but you don't own it. The landlord still hold the ownership. Similarly, in software escrow, the licensee rent or license the software but does not own it completely. Option B, to allow the licensee access to the software vendor source code under the specific condition. So what do you think? Yes, this is the correct answer. This is the correct definition of software escrow, where a third party holds the source code and releases it to the licensee if certain conditions are met. Like suppose if the vendor goes out of business. So you can think of the locker in a bank. Think of the locker in a bank. The bank holds valuable for the customer, right? And the items inside can only be accessed when specific conditions are met. Similarly, in a software escrow, the source code is stored securely and released only if needed. Option C, to restrict the licensee from using the software beyond the agreed license period. This is incorrect because this describes a software license agreement. It describes a software license agreement. Does not describe a software escrow. While licensing does limit how long a company can use the software, an escrow arrangement is about ensuring continuity in the case of vendor failure. Let me give you one example. If you subscribe to Netflix, your access stop after your subscription end. But this has nothing to do with your software escrow, which is more about protecting the licensee if something happened to the vendor. Option D, to enable the software vendor to revoke the licensee access at any time. This is incorrect because the software escrow protects the licensee, not the vendor. It always protects the licensee. It ensures that licensee can continue using the software even if the vendor goes bankrupt or fail to provide support. So you can imagine a car lease. Where you can continue using the car as long as the dealer exists. If the dealer suddenly shut down, the lease ensures you still get support on ownership under certain conditions. That is how software escrow works. It ensures business continuity for the licensee. So let me summarize the key fact which we have learned regarding the software escrow arrangement. First point is that it is a legal agreement, right? This software escrow arrangement, it is a kind of legal agreement, right? Ensuring access to the source code under certain conditions. Second point, it protects the licensee. Remember, it always protects the licensee, right? By if the vendor failed to provide support. And source code is held by neutral third party. Source code is always held by the neutral third party. For example, like a bank locker that is opened only under certain conditions. A software escrow does not mean full ownership, software restriction or vendor control over the access. I hope that make clear the concept of software escrow arrangement, right? If it is, please hit that like button. Now let's see the next question. The question is what is the, let's skip this particular question. Yeah, let's see what does non-repudiation ensure in digital communication? Very important question. Friends, options are that a sender or receiver cannot deny sending or receiving a message. Option B, the messages are automatically detected after transmission, deleted after transmission. Option C, that only encrypted messages can be sent over the internet. Option D, that messages are stored permanently without any modification. So option A, option A is that a sender or receiver cannot deny. Yes, this is the definition of non-repudiation, right? This is the correct answer. Why? Because non-repudiation ensures in digital security that a person cannot deny sending or receiving. A person cannot deny sending or receiving what? Receiving a message because there is a strong proof that they did. This is often achieved through digital signature, encryption or secure logging. For example, imagine you send an email with a digital signature. Later you cannot say I never sent this email because the digital signature proves that you sent it. Right? That is called non-repudiation. What about option B? That messages are automatically deleted after transmission. So this is wrong because it describes the self-destructing message. Right? It describes what we called self-destructing message. Right? So it does not describe non-repudiation. Right? So it is all about the proof of communication. It is all about the proof of communication, not deleting message. So if you send a message on Snapchat, it disappears after being read, but there is no proof that it was ever sent. So it does not ensure non-repudiation. Option C, that only encrypted message can be sent over the internet. So encryption ensures message securely and confidentiality. But so basically if we talk about encryption, what is ensure? It ensures message security. It ensures message confidentiality. But non-repudiation is about proving who sent the message. Right? Even encrypted message can be denied if there is no digital signature or authentication. Right? For example, if you sent a WhatsApp message, it is encrypted, right? But you can still delete it. So basically, let me give you one example of encryption. That encryption, suppose you send WhatsApp message, it is encrypted, but you can still delete it for everyone. This means there is no proof that you ever sent it. So it is a kind of non-repudiation, right? Last option is the messages are stored permanently without any modification. So this refers to what we call data integrity. Right? Not non-repudiation. While storing message permanently can help in security, non-repudiation is about proving the receiver. Right? Non-repudiation is about proving the sender and receiver involvement. For example, CCTV. For example, CCTV camera. So CCTV camera recording keeps data safe from modification, but it does not prove who was involved in the event unless there is a proper authentication. So what we learned from the discussion is that, if we talk about the non-repudiation, so non-repudiation, it means ensuring proof of communication. Non-repudiation, it simply means ensure proof of communication. That's so that no one can deny it later. Achieved using digital signature, encryption and secure locks. It prevents fraud and false denials in online transaction. For example, signing a contract digitally. Once signed, you cannot deny it. That is called non-repudiation. The primary function of SIEM, that is security information and event management. What is the primary purpose of it? Option A, to provide real-time analysis of security alert from its application and network hardware. Option B, to physically block unauthorized access to computer system. Option C, to store user password for enhanced security. Option D, to replace traditional firewall in cyber security. What do you think? So option A is saying that to provide real-time analysis of security alert from application and network hardware. This is the primary function of SIEM. It helps business monitor their IT system, detect suspicious activity, and respond to cyber threat in a real time. For example, this is the correct answer. For example, you run a bank. If someone try to hack into customer account, so SIEM detects this unusual activity and immediately alert the security system. For example number 2, suppose a hacker is there. They try to log into company system multiple times using different password. So SIEM identify this as a brute force attack and block access. If we talk about the option B, to physically block unauthorized access to the computer system. So this is incorrect because SIEM does not physically block access. Instead, it monitors, it detects threat. So security guard at the building physically block unauthorized visitor. But SIEM work like a smart surveillance system that watches everything, detect threat and report them instantly. That is called SIEM. Full form you must know, security information and event management. Last option number C, to store user password for enhanced security. So SIEM does not, if we talk about the SIEM does not store password. It's designed to detect cyber threat and security breach. So there are some password manager like LastPass. Let me give you some example of password manager. You might have heard about LastPass. You might have heard about Google Password Manager, right? So these store user credentials securely, but they do not monitor security threat like SIEM does. Option D, to replace traditional firewall in cyber.
Ensure IT align perfectly with the business goal. So this question pertains to COVID 2019. Right. So friends, let's crack this MCQ and learn a memory trick that will make COVID principles super easy to remember. See what is happening, an organization is implementing COVID 2019 to better align its IT infrastructure with a strategic business goal. So to ensure a holistic approach and a tailored the system to enterprise need, which of the following action best reflected integrated application of COVID core component and the principle? So that is the question. So option they have given that organization should focus exclusively on build and acquire and implement domain to ensure the latest technology are deployed to meet the stakeholder need. Option B says that separate governance from management and utilize and use all the 7 enablers. There are 7 enablers like culture, ethics, organization structure. So it will enable all of them. Option C says that they should adopt ISO 27001 as a sole framework, right, for performance measurement. And option number D says that prioritize information and service over people and culture. Prioritize information and service over people and culture. So these are the 4 options that they have provided, and you have to select. Let's talk about the COVID 2019 basics. So it is a framework for IT governance and management. So it help align IT with a strategy. Right. So that is COVID 2019 framework for IT governance plus management. Right. So the principles are that it separate governance from management. On one side we have governance, please understand. So it separate IT governance and it separate the management. Okay. And it provide you holistic approach. Which means don't just focus on tech. You need to include people, you need to include culture, right? And you need to include ethics, people, culture, ethics, right? Processes, etc. So don't just focus on technology. You should include people, culture, ethics, process, etc. And then there are 7 enablers. So besides that, how many enablers are there? 7 enablers. Which means they are like building block. These 7 enablers are like building block. Right. like culture, ethics, organization structure, process, information, service. And then there are 40 objectives. So COVID has 40 governance and management objective that need support. So these objectives, they need support from all enablers. They need support from all the enablers, right? So these are the key points. So what we have discussed, that first thing is that COVID is a basic framework for IT governance and management that help business align IT with a strategy. Second point is separate governance from management. Governance set direction, management execute them. That's the difference. That is how governance and management are separated through COVID 2019. Then holistic approach, it don't just focus on tech, it includes people, culture, ethics, process and structure. 7 enablers just now I told you, and 40 objectives are there. So friends, now let's look at the option that they have provided. Please understand, these are the basic concepts. So option number A, if you look at, this is that build, acquire and implement domain. Actually, it is too narrow. It is very narrow. Right, it is too narrow. Only one domain, not holistic. So it's only say about only one domain. Right. Only one domain, it is not holistic. So option A is wrong. What about option B? Separate governance from management while ensuring all the 7 enablers are utilized to support the 40 governance and management objective. Yes, if you look at the option number B, this is the perfect one, because it clearly states that it separate governance from management, because governance set direction. Yes, please understand, governance always set the direction, while management is someone who execute those direction. That's why governance and management are separated. And already I told you there are 7 enablers who are called the building blocks. Right. So B number option is perfect. It separates governance from management and uses all the 7 enabler to support the objective. Yes, B is correct one. What about C? ISO 27001 is great, but COVID is not replaced by other framework. Please understand. You cannot replace this COVID. With other framework. Right. So adopting 27001 standard as a sole framework for performance and measurement. So what I'm telling you, that ISO 27001 is great, but COVID is not replaced by other framework. That's why option number C is wrong. What about D? D says that, prioritizing information and service enabler our people and culture. So what do you think about option D? Is it correct? See, prioritizing some enabler break the holistic principle. If you prioritize someone, so obviously the holistic principle will break down, right? So option number D is also wrong. The correct answer to this question is option number B. So one way to remember it like this. So you can think of the COVID like say James 7. So there is a way to remember this. Whenever question is asked regarding to COVID, think of them like James 7. What does it mean? So G means governance. G means governance versus management. E means enablers. Enabler means what? Enabler means 7 enablers are there. Then M means management objective. There are 40 objective. And S strategic alignment. So whenever you hear this COVID, just remember this word James 7, right? For the holistic governance. So James 7 for holistic governance. So what we have discussed, let's have a quick revision. I told you that COVID 2019 includes IT governance and management alignment. 2 things it includes, fancy, right? Let's break this down in simple term and learn a quick trick to remember the strongest 2FA tool. So basically what is happening, this is a case study presented before you. So an organization is upgrading its identity and access management system. That's called IAM. In short, you call it identity and access management system like IAM. So an organization is upgrading its IAM system to a zero trust model. So to achieve the highest level of security and phishing resistance while adhering to the core principle of 2FA, which of the following implementation strategy is most effective? So you have to tell me that to achieve this while adhering to the 2FA core principle, which implementation strategy is most effective? Option they have given that password plus 4-digit PIN via email. You can see primary alphanumeric password plus 4-digit PIN via registered email address. Option B, adaptive 2FA system based on behavior and location. Option number C, combining you have to combine the password plus hardware token plus biometric scan. And option number D, 2 position based factors like SMS OTP and push notification. So these are the 4 options that they have given. So let's talk in detail about the 2FA. 2FA means 2-factor authentication. Let's talk about it. So basically, what is this 2FA? Two-factor authentication means, using two different type of security check. Using two different security checks. That is called, 2FA. So, using two different security check from different category. First category is something that you know. Something you know. Right? Like, you know your password. You know your PIN. Something you know. That's the other thing. And second thing is something you have. What you have? You have hardware token. Right? You have hardware token. You have phone. And something you are. So biometric like fingerprint or the face. So that is called two-factor authentication. So basically it involves two different security check from different category. Something you know, something you have, and something you are. And there is a principle here. The principle is called, zero trust principle. What is the name of principle? The principle is called zero trust principle. So what does it say? It says that never trust, always verify. Right? It says that never trust, rather always verify. So every access request must be validated. Access request to be validated. So never trust, always verify. That is called zero trust principle. So every access request must be validated. That's called zero trust principle. So two-factor authentication, I told you two different security checks, something you know, something you have, something you are. And zero trust principle say never trust, always verify. So that is the point. So now let's look at the option that we have. Option number A say requiring a primary or alphanumeric password followed by secondary 4-digit PIN to the user registered email address. So option number A says that both the password and PIN are knowledge based. What do you think? So if both the password and PIN are knowledge based, so it is a weak combo, right? So this is not the correct answer. It's not effective one. Now option number B says that adaptive authentication. You can see adaptive authentication. It may sound smart, but it is not two-factor authentication because it is skip the second factor. There is no second factor here. How can you tell that second factor? What about C? So C says that two different position-based factor, SMS plus push. Yes, exactly. This is the correct one, right? Same category. So basically, if you look at the C, it combines knowledge. What is your knowledge? So, sorry, we are talking about C here. It combines a knowledge-based factor, that is a password, with a position. Position means hardware token or inherence, which is called biometric. So it combines all of them. That is what I told you. Something that you know, something that you have, something that is called position, something that you know that is called knowledge, something that you are, right? So combine both of them, then that's called two-factor authentication. So it combines knowledge-based factor with a position-based factor or an inherence-based factor. This is the strongest and phishing resistant. That is called two-factor authentication. And the same question was exactly asked in the examination. And option number D says that utilizing two different position-based factor such as SMS-based OTP. No. Actually, two position-based factor, it means same category. So here the category is the same. Right. So this is weaker security. Option D is wrong. The correct answer is option number C. So you need to combine a knowledge-based factor with a position-based factor or inherence-based factor. So one way to remember it like this, let me tell you. So one way to remember what we have discussed just now. You can just remember it like this. 2FA means, let me write it down. Two-factor authentication means know plus have or are. Either of the two, have or are. So know means like password, you know your password, right? Have means token, and are means biometric. Looking for study material for certification examination in IT security, you can check out our course. The link is provided in the description section. In this course, you will get unit-wise theory and unit-wise MCQs PDF. As you can see, it has been arranged module-wise. There are 4 separate modules. Inside each module folder, you will see there are unit-wise folder like unit 1, unit 2. Inside each unit folder, you will see separate theory PDF and MCQ PDF. So the MCQ PDF is like this. Each unit PDF consists of 40 to 50 MCQs, and this will help you revise the entire syllabus confidently, and theory PDF consists the theory portion in a short and concise manner. In addition to that, you will get previous year memory based question. There are 3 folders which I have added, and it being added on continuous basis. So it consists of memory based question which have appeared in the examination. You can check out the entire course. Many aspirants have cracked the paper using our material. So in the description section of the video, I have provided the link. Please go through that link. It will help you crack number 3. So what question number 3 is all about? Let's have a look. So as you can see it here, that there is a logistic company which is designing an automated sorting system for a large warehouse. They need a solution that can identify 100 of items simultaneously on a moving pallet from a distance of 10 meters, even if the tags are not visible. However, they are concerned about the interference because some item contains liquid. So have you ever wondered how warehouse read 100 of tag at once, even from 10 meters away? So let's decode this RFID question. So now the question basically, this is a logistic company. They need an automated sorting system that can identify 100 of item on a moving pallet from 10 meters away, even if tags are not visible, and some item contains liquid also. So which RFID configuration work best? So there are some configuration they have mentioned, like the active HF 13.56 megahertz tag. Second is passive UHF 860 to 960 megahertz tag. Then passive LF 125 kilohertz tag. Active UHF 860 to 960 megahertz beacons. These are the 4 options they have given. So you have to select the correct one. So friends, let's go through each and every option. So first of all, before delving into the question, let's understand what is the basics of RFID. RFID basics. So you know RFID use the radio waves. RFID, they use the radio waves to identify the tags. They use radio waves to identify the tags. So tags can be, active. So when I say active tags, it means, battery power. Active tags means battery power, or tags can be, passive. So when I say passive, it means powered by reader signal. So 2 types of tags are there, active tags and passive tags. Active means battery power and passive means reader signal. Now let's talk about the frequency band. Very, very important aspect we are dealing with. Frequency bands. So what is the meaning of frequency bands? So LF means 125 kilohertz. So actually, as the name suggests, it is short range. It is short range in terms of centimeter, and it is great with liquid. It is great with liquid, but slow and no bulk reading. Slow and no bulk reading. That is called, LF, 125 kilohertz. Then we have the HF. HF means, 13.56 megahertz. What happened here? They are medium range. They are of medium range. So up to 1 meter, right? This was just centimeter. Now it is up to 1 meter, and the speed is moderate. Moderate speed. The third type we have is called, UHF. UHF. UHF means 860 to 960 megahertz. So actually, it is long range. Up to 12 meter plus, right? 12 meter plus. And it is super fast. Super fast. It supports bulk reading. Right. So actually these are the 3 kinds: LF, HF, UHF. LF means 125 kilohertz, HF means 13.56 megahertz, and UHF means 860 to 960 megahertz. Right. So now let's look at the requirement check. Let's do the requirement check. So in this case, as you can see, in this particular case, what they have given, that 10 meter range. Please I'm highlighting it. 10 meter range. Then bulk reading, as you can see, they have mentioned that bulk reading is the main purpose. Let me write it down. 10 meter hertz and bulk reading, and also tags is not visible. Tags not visible. Now the concern is that liquid causes interference. So actually, if we talk about the UHF, UHF is sensitive, but it can be mitigated with shielding and placement. Now let's check the option. Option number A is saying that active HF. So just now I told you that HF can reach 10 meter only, right? Medium range, meter within near about 1 meter. So they can't reach 10 meter. So here they have mentioned 10 meter. So HF is not applicable because HF range is just near about 1 meter. That's it. Now option number B I think is correct. First of all, let's look at option number C, passive LF. So LF is great with liquid, but the range is only a few centimeters. LF I told you, low frequency. So range is just few centimeters. So they can't reach it. So passive LF is not the correct answer. What about active UHF? So active UHF work, but the question say tags are not active. In the question it is mentioned that non-active tags. You can see even if the tags are not visible, tags are not active. So passive UHF support long range and bulk reading. Two things it support. First checklist, see we have 3 checklists. What are the 3 checklists? The first checklist is 10 meter range. Okay. Second checklist is bulk reading. Fine. And the third checklist is tags not visible. Tags not visible. These are the 3 checklists. So if we talk about the UHF, active UHF, option number D, it satisfies both the 2 conditions. Right. Sorry, not the third one. Actually, let me erase it. It's actually it satisfies condition number. Let me write down the condition number to be more precise. Just wait a minute. So let me write a condition. Condition number 1, condition number 2, condition number 3. It satisfies condition number 1 and 2, but condition number 3 is not satisfied because the passive UHF support long distance range and bulk reading, but just designed across liquid interference. So but tags is not visible. That's why the correct answer is option number B, passive UHF. So passive UHF support long range bulk reading just designed across around liquid interference. This is the correct answer. The correct answer is option number B. Right. So let me give you the memory trick to remember this RFID design. So whenever you can, this is called RFID range ladder. So LF means what? LF means low range. LF means low range, few centimeter only. HF means you can think of halfway. This way you can remember halfway, like 1 meter. Then UHF means ultra range. So when I say ultra range, it means 10 meter plus. So LF is animals, HF is library, and UHF is pallet and logistic. So what we have discussed here, we have discussed that RFID types we have LF, HF, and UHF. So when I say passive UHF, it is based for bulk reading plus long range. Passive UHF is based for bulk reading plus what? Bulk reading plus long range. Passive UHF is based for it. And liquid is a challenge for UHF. How do we fix this liquid issue? So liquid interference can be fixed with this is the big challenge for UHF. You can fix it with shielding. You can fix this liquid part with shielding. So the correct answer to this question is option number B. Right. I hope it is crystal clear. Passive UHF is the correct answer. So this particular table, it clearly summarizes everything. Low frequency, high frequency, ultra high frequency. Frequency range you can see, read range you can see, data speed you can see, liquid metal resistance is very high, and this high HF moderate, and passive active UHF is very low. That's why passive UHF was the correct answer. Now let's have a look at the next question. Ever wondered why auditor stress independence and trust during IT audit or IS audit? Have you ever wondered? So, auditors, they stress. Auditor stress a lot during stress independence and trust during IT audit. Right. The question is why. Let's crack this MCQ. So what is happening here? A lead auditor is conducting an IS audit for major bank to ensure compliance with RBI cyber security guideline and PMLA transaction monitoring. The auditor emphasized independence and uniform evidence while addressing the principal agent conflict. So they emphasize on they put more focus on addressing the independence and uniform evidence. So the question is, which combination of action and theoretical justification best represent a comprehensive IS audit approach? So 4 options they have given. Option A, focus only on planning phase, justified by agency theory. Option B says that field work with vulnerability scan and log review, justifies by theory of inspired confidence. Option number C says that prioritize reporting for ISO 27001, ignore planning, based on in the inductive theory of professionalism. And option number D says risk based planning, discard auditor independence for faster evidence gathering. So these are the 4 options they have given. Let's go through each and every option step by step. So let's have a look at the first option. So what does the first option say? So let me tell you the audit process basic. So what is the basics of the audit process? The basics is very simple. So there are phases, like first of all you plan. The first phase is called planning. After planning you have field work. Second is called field work. Then you report. After field work you report. And after reporting you follow up. So these are the steps: planning, field work, reporting, and follow up. And one more thing I want to tell you, that independence is non-negotiable. Independence, it is non-negotiable. So that was given by Maud's and Saraf postulate, right? So now there are some theories related to this IS audit. The one theory is, agency theory. What does the agency theory says? It says that it is principal versus agent theory. Principal versus agent, right? So principal means the board, and agent means IT managers, right? So they need verification. They don't need just blind trust. So what agency theory need? They need verification. Agency theory need verification, not blind trust. Second theory we have is called theory of inspired confidence. Theory of inspired confidence. So basically, their auditor provide assurance to the stakeholder. Auditor provide assurance to whom? To a stakeholder. So it means building trust in the financial and IT system. That is called, theory of inspired confidence. So actually, they build trust. You can say trust building. And the third is, inductive theory. So inductive theory means build on experience, but cannot skip a structure scope. It is built on experience. Now let's look at the option. So the option number A, actually it says that it is not about agency theory, which says that actually I told you that focus solely on planning phase. So actually agency, if you look at the agency theory, they need verification, not just planning. I told you agency theory based on principal versus agent, right? It required verification also in addition to the planning. So verification also is required. That's why option number A is wrong. Second is all about the theory of inspired confidence, which I told you that auditor provide. So prioritizing reporting and remediation for ISO 27001 while ignoring the planning phase to save the time. Actually, this inductive theory does not ignore the planning phase. This is the super important. Independence. So skipping planning violate the audit standard. This is wrong. What about option D? Utilizing a risk-based approach during planning to address the Basel requirement. So what risk-based approach is all about? So actually independence cannot be compromised. This is wrong. The correct answer is option number B. Fieldwork, which means testing control via scan and logs, and independence, inspired confidence. These are the two major things, right? Option number B is the correct one. So this is the one keyword you can remember it like this. Let me write it down. One way to remember it, PFRC, which means planning. After planning, we have the fieldwork, planning, fieldwork, reporting, and then follow up. Planning, fieldwork, reporting, and then follow up. TIC is called, theory of inspired confidence. Theory of inspired confidence. Actually, it builds trust. Right. So whenever you hear audit plus trust, it means, two things. Fieldwork plus TIC. Right. So let's look at the quick revision point. So just now we have discussed audit, IS audit planning. There are some phases. What are the phases? Just now I told you planning, fieldwork, reporting, and then follow up, PFRC. These are the planning, fieldwork, reporting, and follow up. Independence is mandatory, non-negotiable. You cannot negotiate with independence. And theory of inspired confidence, say it provides assurance to the stakeholder. I hope till now everything is crystal clear. Let's look at the next question that we have. So the next question is, RTO versus RPO. That is called recovery time objective versus recovery point objective. So we are talking about the disaster recovery plan. A commercial bank is reviewing the disaster recovery plan. The bank recovery time objective for its Forex platform is set at 2 hours, while recovery point objective is set as 15 minutes. Right. So let's clear this one. Bank Forex platform has RTO 2 hour, RPO 15 minutes. During a cyber attack drill which is happening, recovery took 90 minutes, and but the last clean backup was 45 minutes before the disaster. Now which statement is true to the context of disaster recovery theory? So option number A says that they meet both it RTO and RPO because the total recovery time 90 minutes was less than sum of RTO and RPO target. B says that it meet RTO but fail at RPO. C says that you can classify as a prevention success under DLM. It is classified as a prevention success under the disaster logic model. And option D says that failed it RTO because recovery point must be larger than the recovery time. So these are the 4 options they have given. So now let me explain what is this RTO RP all about, because DRP is a very important topic, disaster recovery planning, on which questions are regularly being asked in the examination. So to the context of DRP, RTO, let's talk about the RTO. So this RTO means recovery time objective. Recovery time objective means how fast can we get the system back online, right? So RTO means how fast we get system back online. That is called RTO. So target is RPO. Let's talk about the RPO. So RPO means recovery point objective. RPO means recovery point objective. So what it means? How much data can we afford to lose? It simply means how much data we can afford to lose. How much data we can afford to lose. That's called RPO, recovery point objective. So target they have given here 15 minutes. Right, RPO target is 15 minutes and actual loss is 45 minutes. Right, so it is failure. So why this important? Because failing RPO means losing transaction between last backup and crash. So it is a compliance risk as per RBI and PMLA. Now let's look at the option A. Option A says that option A says meet both RTO and RPO because 90 minutes is less than RTO plus RPO. Actually it is wrong. RTO and RPO are independent, right, not additive. What about option C? It says that according to DLM, this scenario is classified as a prevention success. Actually, there is no rule that DLM does not classify this as prevention success. What about D? The bank failed at RTO because the recovery point always be equal to greater. There's no rules like that. They are completely independent. There is no rule that RPO should be larger than RTO. The correct answer to this question is option number B. Right. So option number B is correct. It is perfect. It meet RTO but it fail RPO. So one way to remember this RTO and RPO. So when you can think of RTO like restoration time, and you can think of the RPO like recent point. This is just my way of teaching the thing. So RTO means restore time, RPO means recent point. So RTO, whenever you see this word RTO, think about forward in time. Forward in time means how long to recover. Simple word, you ask yourself, how long to recover? That's called RTO, recover time, restore time. And RPO means backward. This is backward in time. That's the difference. This way you can remember. RTO is forward in time, how long it will take to recover, and RPO is backward in time, which means how much data lost. That's the difference. So one way, just remember time versus data. On one side of RTO we have time, on one side of RPO we have data. That's it. So what we have learned, RTO is the downtime tolerance. It means 90 minutes and 2 hours is the timeline, and RPO is the data loss tolerance. 15 minutes, right? Please understand. So that is this particular table clearly signify each and every aspect, clarify each and every aspect regarding RTO downtime, RPO data loss, and I have made you clear each and every aspect. Now friends, let's look at the next question. So ever wondered why trusted employees sometimes turn into insider threat? There are some trusted employees, and those trusted employee sometimes turns into insider threat. Do you know why it happened? So let's decode this question using the fraud triangle and learn a quick memory trick to spot the warning signal. So the question is, a financial institution discovered that a senior administrator who recently failed past for promotion has been accessing sensitive client file outside of a standard working hour and attempting to transfer large data set to a personal cloud storage account. So a senior admin feeling passed over for promotion access sensitive file after hour and try to transfer large data set to personal cloud storage. So applying the fraud triangle and mitigation approach, which analysis of the situation is most accurate? So the question is, there is a case of negligent insider threat, and the most effective mitigation would be periodic security awareness training to correct the behavior. So 2 words are given, negligent insider threat and fix it with awareness training. Option number B. So employer feeling of being passed over feeling means rationalization, unmonitored access, and opportunity. And these are the core elements of the fraud triangle. Option C says that privilege abuse. Breach involve what? Privilege abuse. So it means accidental leak as per the UEBA theory. As per the user and entity behavior analytics theory. Option D, pressure from financial grudge. Pressure from financial grudge. You can fix with least privilege access. So now let's look at the step-by-step explanation. First of all, let's clear the fraud triangle basis. What this fraud triangle is all about. So three things are there. First thing is the pressure. Pressure means financial or personal stress. Stress may be financial stress or it may be personal stress. That's called pressure. Second thing is opportunity. Opportunity means, ability to commit fraud. Ability to commit fraud without detection. You commit fraud without detection, that is called opportunity. Second point. Third thing is rationalization. So what is rationalization? Rationalization means justifying unethical behavior, like company or me. So that's called, fraud triangle. 2-3 words are there. POR. Rationalization means what? Justifying unethical behavior. That's company or me. Now let's look the scenario analysis. So basically, filling passed over. So this particular, senior administrator, he filled passed over. So this is the filling of rationalization. And unmonitored access. And this is one more thing as the given, that unmonitored access. So what is the meaning of unmonitored access? Unmonitored access means what? Ability to come. So basically, opportunity. So and malicious. So if you look at the malicious intent. So option number A, there is a case of negligent insider threat, and the most effective mitigation would be a periodic security awareness. Actually, they have mentioned here negligent. No, it's not negligence. It is a malicious intent. Clearly, they are passing the files, large data set to personal. So this is a malicious intent, not negligence. So option A is ruled out. Option C is about UEBA, user and entity behavior analytics. So it helped to detect it, but option C wrongly call it accidental. This is called, they are calling it, accidental leak. No, it's not an accidental leak. Actually, this is, now next is the least privilege. So least intentional, not accidental, rather incident, like, intentional. And option number D is also talks about the least privilege. So actually it is good mitigation, but the main theory here is the fraud triangle. So to the context of this question, we have the correct answer, that is option number B. Employee feeling of being passed over represent rationalization, with their unmonitored access represents opportunity, and these are the core element of the fraud triangle. Right. So you can think of the fraud triangle like PRO, pro. Please remember this word pro. So pro, P stand for pressure, R stands for rationalization, and O stands for opportunity. PRO, pressure, rationalization, opportunity. So when you see insider threat, check for PRO factor. Right, I hope it is crystal clear. So malicious insider, fraud triangle, pressure, rationalization, opportunity. How to detect? UEPA, that is user and entity behavior analytics, help you to detect. Right. So malicious insider is a kind of, fraud triangle. UEBA help you to detect it. And mitigation, for mitigation, you should do monitor and you should have least privilege access. This is how you mitigate it. So the correct answer to this question is option number B. Friends, we have some more question available with us. So see the difference between malicious insider and negligent insider. That's the difference. Right. UABA is a detection method. Trigger